Once again, every week, just like clockwork, it is time. The chimes have struck whatever time it is. By the time last week we were supposed to have the podcast out, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. I had to get it out technically on Sunday. But hey, once a week, no matter what, in your inbox, in your mailbox, in your brain box, and in your ass box, there's the Rage Slate podcast, and it's Rage Slate, and I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a weird bunch of stuff today.
Is it the time cube?
It's what?
Sorry, I just discovered something called the time cube from a coworker before I got here.
Is that the one with the guy? Never mind. I don't want to. If it is, I don't want to get into it. And if it's
I think
not,
you already knew what it was based on what you were about to say.
Yeah,
I just discovered it. People Google it when you get a chance.
Yeah,
don't.
Is it the crazy guy?
Yeah, he thinks like everything's like 4 days or some shit.
Yep.
Fucking yeah.
Go watch. Have you seen? Do you know what Down the Rabbit Hole is?
I've heard of it.
Is this guy online that does kind of like documentaries about stuff? He actually has a really cool 2-part documentary about like anime and like where did it come from and why is it like it is. But he did one about the time cube. He does a lot of like wackadoo internet stuff, and that was one of those, and that's how I know about the time cube. He did one about furries that was really interesting. That was just like, here's the whole like history of how did furries become a thing, and it starts with like people drawing adult like comics in like the 60s and 70s.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that old.
That had like, well, it morphed, that were like built where it's like, you know, like Fritz the Cat, right? Or there was we want to make like anthropomorphic Disney creatures, but then have them doing like real edgy adult shit, right? And then that just led into this weird, and then it's like, it's fascinating.
And then personas happen eventually.
Yeah, go look at Down the Rabbit Hole, watch Time Cube, watch that. The Final Fantasy VII house, that's a real...
Oh, I heard about that.
That's such a weird one,
That's
man.
a weird fucking thing that happened, apparently. And it might still be happening to this day, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. So yeah, we got a bunch of stuff. But before we start, I don't want people to get too out of whack. This is mostly just a kind of a, you know... I'm not exactly the most forthcoming person about my personal life on the internet, but, you know, this week, my girlfriend moved out. We actually broke up a little bit back, or it wasn't really like breakup implies that it was just like, you son of a bitch, I'll fucking kill you, and it's like, fuck you, I'll burn your car down. It wasn't like that. It
you were
really
Spider-Man,
right? We basically just, I mean, you know, I'm not even going to go into that many details. We grew apart. We kind of decided, you know, it's not like working out, right? Like, it's a thing that I've been thinking about recently where like in the movies, you know, and in like TV shows and in like all fiction that you've ever read and in like comic books and animes and all that shit, like when people get together, it's just like, and then the best. And they never show you, because it would be a really boring story if it was like, and then after a few years, they were like, you know, I think that we should probably just break up. I mean, like, no, you know, nobody threw anything, or like, you know, you didn't steal my dog, right? It's just, I don't know, things don't work out sometimes, and so you go your separate ways. And so that's happened, and don't feel too bad for me. I had my one day of being like, oh, and then I was like, okay, I think I'm okay now.
It's because you were Spider-Man, right?
It's because I was Spider-Man. It's because I'm actually Spider-Man.
Yeah. You're legitimately Spider-Man.
She was tired of me swinging around town at night, like saving people. And I was like, but baby, crime. And she was like, there will always be crime. And I was like, that's why I have to stop it. My Uncle Ben told me. I mean, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's no big thing. This is more of a. I also don't want to come off as like a heartless maniac. Like, I am sad, but it's not like the greatest tragedy of my life.
No, it's and
we're both still friends. You know, she didn't move to another town. We still, you know, we're still going to stay in touch.
She didn't shoot you on the way out, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It was just very weird. I have to tell all of the people coming over to record because, like, I cleared a bunch of my shit out when she moved in.
Yeah.
And then she put up all these things in my house. And then she took all the things when she left my house, but all my shit is still put away. So my house is very sparse right now. There's just like,
I noticed
lots of emptiness. And of course, when she moved out, I was like, oh, my house is empty and my heart is empty and my life is empty now. And then the next day I was like, okay, you know, let's buy some pictures on Amazon or something like that. So, that was one thing, and completely not equivalent. I don't want to make any equivalencies here. Also, I watched Solo recently.
Oh, okay.
I think Solo's a really enjoyable movie.
It's fun as hell. Holy shit.
Like what was weird was that I didn't see any like real negative bullshit online about it. I didn't see any real positive bullshit online about it. But like I watched it and I was just like, I think this is delightful. This is just a fun space adventure that doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be about Death Stars or Jedis or anything. And you know what? They drop one reference in there that I feel like is specifically for people who like Star Wars and had a PlayStation 1, and I was just like, oh damn.
Oh, did I tell you about that, right?
No.
When I was at the screening for it, they drop it, and I was like, ooh, I was the only fucking person in the entire theater who made a noise.
Oh, I was watching it, and they did that, and I was just like, Wait, hold on, back up, because I think I looked away for a second and I heard it and I was like, did they So, in any case, what I'm saying is it's out on VOD now, and I'm sure, well, I don't think it'll actually be coming, I don't know if the Netflix Disney breakup is going to cover
I don't know if this Star Wars, yeah, well, I know Marvel-wise after, I think, the
Ant-Man
next
and the
Avengers
Wasp is supposed to be the last
yeah,
one.
and then after that, I don't know if Star Wars-wise, if that's the same thing.
But you know what? If you skipped Solo because you were all tuckered out and like you're looking for something to watch because there's nothing out right now, well, I mean, there is. There's totally BoJack Horseman, American Vandal, fucking everything is out right now. But Solo is a thoroughly enjoyable movie, and it should have been called Lando, and it should have been about Donald Glover, but whatever. I still really enjoyed it.
It's got the coolest Millennium Falcon sequence I've seen in a long time. Like, holy fuck.
It's got a good bad guy. It's got a good guy. It's got, space double crossing. It's got just enough fan service. Like it's not obsequious in the way that it's just like, hey, look, this, and it's like, okay. I mean,
there's only one that annoyed me still and it annoyed most people, but most people know about it.
Yeah,
it's the name. It's the name thing.
Oh yeah. That's
the only part, and it's super early on, and you forget about it pretty fast.
Yeah. Also, you're a big fan of BoJack Horseman.
I am.
Horseman season 5 came out.
I binged that season, and I was thinking as you were talking about the Forever After thing, there's a part in one of the episodes of the new season where he says something similar to that.
Yeah,
where he's just like, yeah, people forget what the happy ending is, that keeps going after that,
right?
Until it doesn't,
right? Yeah. It's funny. I liked it, but I still maintain to this day that I think BoJack Horseman should have been one season and then over, because it was a very nice self-contained story, and I feel like in some cases dragging this character's like mental health issues through 5 seasons has, in some ways, it's very good that there's a full-on year between seasons, because I do not want to binge watch BoJack Horseman. Like, I'm glad I can watch one season and then just be not there for a year, and then
I rewatch every season each time a new season comes out.
Oh my god! How
every
can you
single
do that?
time,
it's fucking like soul crushing.
I adore that show, and it has gotten me through so many things.
All right. But
this is what I'll say about the new season: is it's actually the lesser of all 5 seasons. I think. I don't know what it was about it specifically. It's just that some of the things, to me, it's because the first 4 seasons, everything it covers feels very personal, and by that I mean to myself. Like I see myself in situations that he does, but in this season it was a lot of just like taking him into darker areas that I've never seen myself in.
There was like in a lot of ways I feel like in the previous seasons his you could look at his substance abuse, but there was also a mental issues kind of overlay on top of that, where you didn't like, because I know that you don't really drink, right?
No, I don't.
So I mean, like, you don't have to drink to identify with BoJack.
No, you don't have to at all.
But like, if this one is pretty heavy on the substance part of it, to a point where I feel like it maybe taps some addiction feelings that I myself have felt from time to time. But I can definitely see where, if you haven't ever had a kind of if you've never wrestled with the substance in your life, that it could probably be a little bit more alienating.
Well, it's not so much alienating. It's just that I don't connect with it as well, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of subject matters that happen in it, like Free Churro, which I think is like the best episode of the season, which is just like him just giving a eulogy for 30 minutes. Okay. But that entire thing, it connected with me, but not a lot. But I would read comments on, the subreddit for BoJack of people going, no, that's exactly how I feel about this sort of thing. Yeah. Because that's how their life is. Okay. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, well, that's not how I am. Right. So it didn't connect to me as well as it did. But and there's a certain part that happens towards the end of the season that's just like, yeah, that's kind of super fucked up. Yeah. Holy shit, kind of thing. And the other issue I have with it is that In all the other seasons, everybody interacts with each other the most. Like Bojack interacts with Todd, Mr. Peanut Butter, all those things.
Yeah.
They're all kind of separate from each other this time.
Yeah.
It kind of has the same issue I have, that most of us have with season 4 of Arrested Development, is that they don't hang out with each other the way they do with the other ones.
I really could have done without all the stuff with Todd and Henry Wankler or whatever.
Henry Fondle?
Henry Fondle. Yeah, that was just like, I mean, I don't know.
It alleviated some of the more dark shit, though.
It was it was a big setup for a punchline that was like, okay, but I mean, like the problem is that the gravity of what was going on in the Bojack side of things was just like, oh, do we have to go back to Todd's homemade sex robot again?
Yeah, but it alleviates like how dark Bojack's section is, I think, more than anything.
Maybe. I start getting tired of Todd in season 2, where I'm just like, damn it, I don't care about.
I love Todd, though.
I don't like Todd.
Hooray! Question mark? Like, that's my favorite line of his to this day.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I've been trying to keep these opening sections a little bit shorter, so why don't we get to some news? And we got a lot of all over the place news. The first bit of news is coming from everybody's game of the year that hasn't come out yet. Red Dead Redemption 2.
God, I hope so.
And as okay, so sit down, clutch your pearls, hold your breath, make sure you're not drinking a drink when I say this, but you guys, there's going to be a Red Dead Redemption Online.
Well, there was one before that, though.
Yes,
but
well,
or is it going to be more like Grand Theft Auto? Is what you mean?
Yes. Well, this is more for dramatic purposes.
I just want to be sure
of like, who didn't see this coming? It's
everyone says, yeah.
You should have just been talking. I mean, like, obviously they've been focusing on the single player stuff in a lot of the trailers and such, but like anybody who thought all you have to do is look at how much money 2K has made from Grand Theft Auto Online, and that Rockstar is going to be putting an online mode in Red Dead 2. Now, they basically talked about how. Okay, so Red Dead 2 launches in October. There'll be a public. This is going to be like GTA Online, where there's a public beta for this in November. So it's not launching day and date with Red Dead 2. It's going to be like separated service that's going to launch and then kind of grow separately from this. There was an interview where they were talking about how they basically feel like they've learned an awful lot from Grand Theft Auto Online that they're going to be trying to integrate into Red Dead Redemption 2. And obviously that means like flying cars and
the jetpacks,
and stuff. No,
Blazing Saddle DLC,
right. Which it's funny because so do you what are your feelings about Grand Theft Auto Online? Do you like Grand Theft Auto? Do you play?
I liked it originally when it first started, but it has the same issue that happens when you make an online version of a game where everybody just murders each other.
Yeah,
was that everyone murders each other, and then it just gets very frustrating, and then everything costs $1 bajillion. And it's just there's no point to it, really.
See, I guess I felt that like once, and I'm glad I was glad to hear that they said that like they learned a lot from like the heist updates for Grand Theft Auto Online, because it's like before that, it seemed like it was mostly just like here's a new car, here's a new outfit, here's a new gun, and then around the heist they started putting in like actual like content.
Like, that took years, though.
Cutscenes, yeah. But I feel like
that's the thing.
What they're saying
I fell off way before
that they want to start there. They don't want to start where Grand Theft Auto Online started. They want to start like 2 years into Grand Theft Auto Online. Which, I mean, the like the After Hours update that Amanda and I played that had Gay Tony in it. That was cool. Like, I mean, there wasn't a shitload to do there, but let's say I'm more invested in going online to play a mission that has a beginning and a middle and an end and a cutscene and a character that's telling you to do it than I am to just be like, here's the city, now you guys can all run around and shoot each other. And it's like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't care about doing that.
Did you ever play Red Dead Redemption's online mode? The very first one?
No.
Some of my craziest online stories came from that thing.
That was like, because it was like kind of like cops and robbers type of thing, right?
But yeah, you had a lot of the missions. I'm using quotes because it was a lot of cops and robbers like kind of things. It was like, go rob this thing, and then, but it actually had a small story to each one. Mm-hmm. Like one was like, you're hired to do this one thing, but now you pissed off the army, so now you got to kill the army, and they're gonna get away. Okay. And I used to make the joke whenever it started, it's like, are you in what army? And it would say the U.S. Army. I'm like, that's a good army.
Yeah.
And but there was the non-mission stuff was it was kind of like the way Grand Theft Auto 4's was too, where you just ran around. You killed each other.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my friends took it upon ourselves to be like sheriffs of whatever server we were on.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me about this.
And my favorite to this day is that we got into a fight with because you could group together, and it was called a posse.
Yeah.
It was just me and him, me and my friend. One dude killed us, and we chased him for hours, killing the same posse until we got to the final. Like, he was constantly moving around the map, and we kept killing him that he just left because he was such a giant asshole. But we were kind of being dicks about it. But it was just, since it was just the two of us, it was very funny.
The stories of being an asshole in an online video game.
Yeah.
So it's funny because the whole
amazing.
I hadn't really thought about it yet, but I feel like the whole of this culminates in a single question, right? So Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be a big old fucking long Rockstar game, right? Like GTA 5 wasn't a short game. It wasn't a game where you're just like, it's 8 hours and then you're done, right? It was a big sprawling game with a bunch of different shit to do. Total single player experience, like worth $60, 100%. If you just want to play single player, worth $60. Then there was the online on top of that. But what that online meant was no single player DLC,
which was such a pain in the ass because they originally had announced, there's going to be great single player stuff,
right?
Where you're going to have more adventures with Michael and Trevor and Franklin, and then nothing happened.
Yep.
And then the worst part was that all of these DLC vehicles are only on the online mode.
Yeah.
So you can't get like these Batmobile looking things in the single player and all this shit. It's like, well, what's the fuck is the point of that? Like, you're making these things you can't use in single player, and that's my main issue with that to this day.
See, I guess I kind of have the same issue because I'd rather see Undead Nightmare 2 than any amount of the Red Dead Online. However, I cannot sit here and tell you that I think that the single player Red Dead Redemption 2 will be not worth $60 because so far Rockstar's been smart enough to be like, we're going to make this big ass expensive game. They haven't pulled a Black Ops 4, right? Yeah. We're going to make this big sprawling game that's got all this stuff for you to do, and then like once we're done and we've shipped that and we've got a game with a beginning and a middle and end, then we're going to do this other online thing for people who want more of it, who want to play online. And in a lot of ways, I can't really fault them for it because, like, there is no, I feel like a lot of times we complain about DLC, about how, like, the DLC characters will round out a story or things that feel like they've been pulled out of the game.
Yeah.
Is that the one thing you can say about Grand Theft Auto 5 is that we didn't have to go through a whole thing where they were putting out DLC, where, there was a bunch of side missions that made the end of Franklin's story better, right?
Yeah.
Or they came back in and put a new ending. Because the ending to GTA 5 always felt was a little, like, lackluster, but
I thought it was fine. Well, depending on the ending.
Yeah, we're all just going to fight all the mobs. All right, we'll do it. But I don't think I can get too mad about it. I mean, I just, I think I'm still going to play it. I guess that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to boycott Red Dead Redemption 2 because it's not going to have traditional story DLC.
Well, like you're saying, it's not like, Call of Duty games or even other shooters where it's like, well, the plot's kind of lackluster and it's all DLC maps and shit.
Right.
It's Rockstar. Rockstar makes their story first, and then nowadays, if it has to, have this robust multiplayer, then sure. You don't need one or the other sometimes with some people. It's different is the thing. Like, their shortest campaign that I can think of was Max Payne 3, and even that was was long enough that it felt worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's say that you are going to boycott Red Dead Redemption 2 and you need something else to play. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who you are, and I don't know why you're still listening to this. But hey, you know what? Let's say you're going to do that. You need something else to play. Sony just announced that we're going to get hot on the heels of the NES Classic, the SNES Classic. We're going to get a little PlayStation Classic, a little mini PS1 with some classic PlayStation controllers, and we're going to get 20 games. This is pretty much, listen, it's just a Super Nintendo Mini. But it's a PlayStation, right?
It really is.
2 controllers. It's got suspend point. Switch your game. You use the open button to switch between games. You got the reset button to put them into suspend and power button. Like in the trailer, one of the bullet points is power button. That's like one of the things that they say on there.
It's like, you can have power. It's like, what? But that's okay, sure.
One of the interesting things, though, is that the game's going to have, or the console's going to have 20 games built in. So far, we only know about 5 of those.
Which is crazy to me.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer, Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. And this is great, because now we can do what everybody else on the internet says. Michael, what PlayStation 1 games would you like to see integrated into this PlayStation Classic?
I would like to see games that weren't really re-released all that much.
Okay.
I think Blasto would be interesting to see on there.
Blasto.
And the Jersey Devil. You remember that game too?
Nope.
Yeah, there were 2 PS1 games that comes to my memory. Oh, Toomba. Toomba would be great.
Toomba.
Crash Team Racing would be fun.
Okay.
And I don't think you need to re-release any of the Crash Bandicoot games. Parappa the Rappa, maybe.
Yeah.
Because maybe it might fucking work.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Leave that game.
Actually, replace it with Jammer Lammy. That would make more sense.
Leave that game in the ground where it belongs.
Gran Turismo 2, maybe.
Yeah.
3.
Dino Crisis?
Dino Crisis would be great. I'd fucking love Dino Crisis to show up on that thing.
I tell you what I really want.
The Abe game
is
Abe's Odyssey.
Intelligent Cube.
Intelligent Cube, really?
I love this game.
What about RoboPit? Did you ever play RoboPit?
I did not play RoboPit.
Yeah, RoboPit's another one I would have played. Fighting Force, that's another one.
I feel like PlayStation 1 was like one of the last consoles where there were just too many games. There were just garbage games out the yang.
Yeah,
and of course you didn't play all of them because there were too many.
There's a lot of random shit, though, too.
I don't think, like, Nemesis, maybe, Resident Evil 3, because there's not a lot of good places to play RE3.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
There isn't a...
They've re-released 1 and 2 enough times. So.
Right. There isn't a PS1 port or a PC port of that, I don't believe. Metal Gear Solid, maybe?
I would love to put that to be on there.
I wonder if you were going to put another Square game on it, would you put, like...
Maybe
Tactics?
8 or 9. Oh, Xenogears would be good.
Xenogears, maybe?
That would be interesting.
Bouncer? Wait, that's a PlayStation
That's a PS2 game, yeah.
Symphony of the Night, I feel like would
that
be
should definitely be on there.
A no-brainer, right? Like that's a PS1 game that I still play to this day.
A lot of people love that one.
So I don't know. Yeah,
there's a lot on this one. Maybe it's one of the Street Fighter games. Maybe.
Okay, I can see
Alpha
that.
3 would be interesting.
Puzzle Fighter? Was Puzzle Fighter on the PlayStation?
Yeah, Puzzle Fighter was. Yeah, dude, the PlayStation 1 had a shit ton of games on it.
I would really.
Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Fuck it. Sure, it's the inferior version of that game, but still.
Yeah. And this is coming out in December, I believe. Is it?
Yeah, I think
December
that's what
3rd. Yep. And it's going to be $100. $100.
Which is interesting. But they said it's limited as well still? I think is what they said.
I don't know if I heard that one.
I don't remember. They haven't announced too many specifics other than what it looks like.
I do think it's funny that I think that people may have forgotten about how like original PlayStation, no analog controllers.
Well,
like,
not until later on.
Not until they release.
But that's what's interesting. That's actually what's interesting about this is they aren't making it the analog. So Ape Escape is out, kind of thing. There are games that came out after that,
right?
That will just not be on this. Unless they come up with like a special version of it.
Did it require the
It did
DualShock?
because you needed the second stick to drop down the net.
Huh. Okay. Fair enough. What was the other one? FromSoft has some stuff like some of the Kingsfield games are like
yeah, I think so.
Dark Tower, whatever the tower.
There's so
Shadow
many fucking
Tower.
Themes on that.
Yeah.
Hell, I'd love for it Spider-Man 1 to be on there.
Devil
Spider-Man
Dice?
PS1 game. Devil Dice, yeah.
I love Devil Dice. Love me some Devil Dice.
There's so many good games on that thing.
Devil Dice for hours.
Maybe even like some of the weird anime games, like some of the Dragon Ball games they made for it. Yes, I crowbar Dragon Ball.
Boo! We can't have a 5-minute conversation without Dragon Ball.
How about Energize? Do you remember fucking Energize?
I do remember Energize. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I think that a lot of So here's
Chrono Cross. That should be on there.
Here's what I'll say. $99 is a bit pricey
for 20 games too. Yeah,
for 20 games because the PlayStation 1 games. I don't think PlayStation 1 games hold up super well because they're all jaggy and crappy and
not a lot of them do.
Shit looking right. So I feel like a lot of whether this thing sells is going to hinge entirely on what are those other 15 games? Like, I would not, I'm not shut up and take my money, right? Like, I want to know what the other 15 games are before I say shut up and take my money.
Yeah, none of the games on here, other than maybe Wild Arms, have got me going, yeah, I want that. Because Final Fantasy VII's on PS4 right now.
Right.
Tekken 3 is not even my favorite.
Everything.
Yeah.
It's coming to Switch, for fuck's sake.
Original Ridge Racer is like, it's a fucking old racing game. You don't need that shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially one that's not all that interesting other than it being a normal fucking racing game.
Was the first Yakuza on PS1?
Honestly, I think it's a PS2 game.
I think it's PS2. See, this is like what happened with me in the NES Classic. It's like, Sony, this is all well and good, but why don't you get back to me when you got a PS2 Classic? Because PS2 games still hold up and they look okay, right?
There's so many games for that, though, that would that would happen though. Is the only issue.
Yeah, PS1 games kind of look like.
Also, which one was Jumping Flash?
Jumping Flash is like you're a mechanical robot. It's like a platformer, but it's from a first-person perspective.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of that.
It's a niche game. I feel like it was one that was a kind of like a tech demo because it was literally a platformer that you played from a first-person perspective, and it's real odd. It is. Let's see. I'm trying to go through the trailer. This is Jumping Flash.
Oh, I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, that's Jumping Flash. I think that the robot from Jumping Flash was a potential mascot. Like, you know how Sony has
like it was.
problems with mascots?
Yeah, they totally don't actually have an actual mascot.
Yeah. Anyway,
unless Kratos is now their mascot or something.
See, I feel like when they did that, when they wanted to do that with like PlayStation All-Stars, they're like, look at all these PlayStation characters. I'm like, here's Kratos. I'm like, I don't think you want Kratos as like the spokesperson for your, like, we
have him and Nathan Drake from all these M-rated games.
You remember Nathan Drake who shot all those people and
left this one woman at one point and slept with another lady.
Yeah.
And then murdered a bunch of people after that.
Right. Mario. Anyway, so we're gonna stick with Sony for a little while here. So in addition to that, Sony also announced recently a very interesting thing. So the PlayStation Now service, right, is the streaming service where you can stream games for a subscription service,
which is good in theory.
Yeah, they bought Gaikai. I've never been able to really use it because there's just a little bit of
lags a lot.
Yeah, that it doesn't make it. Well, recently they just announced that PlayStation 4 games, certain PlayStation 4 games, and any of the PS2 games that they've already released on the PS4, you can actually straight up download them if they're on the PlayStation Now service. So instead of streaming them, you can download them directly to your console, which is all well and good, but I really wanted the PlayStation 3 games, and you can't download those, and so...
Okay, well, that's kind of dumb, actually.
Yeah, and it's like you can download the PlayStation 2 games if they've already been released on the PS4.
Okay, that's even dumber then.
Right, so it's not
what's
like...
the point at that point?
All of them. It's because I feel like PlayStation Now has like 8 people subscribed to it, and they're just like, how can we get more people subscribed to it? It's like, well, sir, the service is bad, and they're like, well... Could they download some of the games? And like, well, you could download like 12 of them. And
like the ones that we already have that they can already buy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then that works, I guess. It's like, no, that shouldn't be what? No.
I feel like I'm in Mean Girls where I'm like, stop trying to make PlayStation Now a thing,
it
Sony.
Annoys me. Especially when you search and you're like, oh, they have it's for PlayStation Now.
Right. Yeah, man. Fuck that shit. When like games come up and you're just like, oh shit, they put RE6. Oh, wait, right. It's on PS Now.
My roommate hates it because he loves Sonic. Yeah. He's like, I want to buy more Sonic games. Like, there's like a bunch of them, but they're all PlayStation Now related. And he's like, well, fuck that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially for Sonic. Yeah. The only reason I would play a PlayStation Now game would be like a turn-based RPG, right?
Yeah, like, because everything else lags. Like, I tried playing, I was trying to play something. I can't remember. I think it was like Arkham Origins or something.
Yeah.
Just to see how it worked, and it was fucking terrible.
See, mine has always been relatively okay, but the problem is that, like... There's a difference between a small amount of lag and no lag. And that difference with my hand and the TV and my face and the brains is enormous. Like any amount of lag and no lag are just like, it might as well be desert or ocean, those two things. So
exactly.
And last but not least in the PlayStation camp, let's say that you... are a big fan of PlayStation portable systems.
Snicker.
Who are you and what? Apparently, at the end of 2019, Sony's going to stop manufacturing the PlayStation Vitas. So, what about 4 years after the console's dead, they're going to stop manufacturing it?
I'm shocked. Completely shocked. Well, not that shocked.
Right.
Greg Miller is probably really sad right now, though.
I will tell you. The PlayStation Vita, to me, was one of the most, it was one of the biggest missed opportunities ever.
100%. It looked great.
Yep.
It felt really nice, other than the fucking touchpad on the back. And the games looked really nice on it. And then they did nothing with it.
here's my things. If they figured out a way, it didn't... All these companies are obsessed with letting you put this shit in your pocket, right? Like the 3DS has that dumb disc. And it's like because they want you to be able to put the shit in your pocket, right?
Oh, that thing, yeah.
It's like if they would have put 2 shoulder buttons on the PS Vita, I feel like it would have been an entirely different system because they had the ability to get like PS2, PS3 games onto the Vita. The problem is they only had a single pair of shoulder buttons, and by that time, everything needed 2 shoulder buttons. Like, and they go, well, there's a touchscreen on the back, and it's like,
use that.
Have you ever tried doing that?
Yeah.
Dick, like
I remember they're like, you can play Dark Souls on this. It's like, no,
you can't. You fucking cannot.
You got to use the touchpad to dodge. Well, fuck you.
Tapping the back of the screen or tapping the touch screen, like if they had if they ditched that stuff and they just put L2, R2, R1, L1, L1, left and right double buttons, right?
Yeah.
They had that second set of buttons on there because even Nintendo. On the 3DS, they have that second button, but it's like
directly
over
in the middle of it.
Yeah, and it's not very comfortable. But if they'd done that, then they could have ported so many things because this is like the only handheld console that's ever come out that has 2 analog sticks, a D-pad, all 4 buttons, triggers, and then if it had the second set of triggers, it would have mapped onto the control scheme that we all use for every single game that's ever happened.
It could have been like the Switch before the Switch was a thing.
Absolutely,
it really could have. And the other thing they kept fucking up was the goddamn memory card thing. Their memory cards are always stupid fucking expensive for no reason.
The other thing, just briefly, was like, I don't know who the fuck it was at Sony that came up with the dumb bubble interface because we got a picture of a Vita on the screen showing that interface. It was horrible.
It was garbage.
It was horrible. Oh, so now you can put your stupid virtual discs into folders. Fuck you. Like what? The cross media bar. Starting on the PlayStation 3 has been one of the most elegant solutions to just finding what I want immediately.
Yeah.
Go, done. Nintendo's had 80 different ways of trying to find your shit. Like Microsoft has gone through the Blades and the Home and Windows 10 and all this shit. Cross media bar works fine, and then the one system that they don't want to put it on, it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Not to mention, if I may,
They shot the Vita in the leg the second he stepped out the door.
What's it called?
They shot him so fucking fast.
The Vita TV. I bought the Vita TV. I found it at a Best Buy, and I was like, hey, the Vita TV. Like, there was a God Eater game that I wanted to play, and maybe we could play it on race. Like, you could sync a controller to it, right?
Yeah.
The motherfucking Vita TV that came out how many years after the PS4 was released? Like 1 or 2?
Not even that long ago, yeah.
It had HDCP enabled on the HDMI out on it, and you couldn't turn it off. So you can't do game capture with it unless you have an HDMI stripper to put on there.
It was really shitty.
It was a great idea because you could play PSP content.
There was actually some solid games on there.
Yeah. And it was like, why? Why won't you let me love you, PlayStation Vita?
They re-released one of its most popular ones, which was the Danganronpa series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had ended up re-releasing that on the PS4 because they're like, oh, the Vita's dead, so we should probably put this on something people buy.
Yeah, it's such a shame to me because it had potential. Hell, it's still one of the best platforms to play Persona 4 on because it's got Persona 4 Golden, right?
I forgot about that.
Gravity Rush started on there.
There's a great port of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on it.
Yeah, like you can play all kinds of stuff on it, and it's just like they never gave that poor little system a chance. Like they got so freaked out after the PSP hacking, and just like it just didn't.
Yeah, and that actually sold them a lot of PSPs.
Yeah. So pour one out for the PlayStation Vita. Also, you can pour one out for the Nintendo 64. They don't make that anymore, or do they?
Oh, jeez.
Because we've got some trademark filings that lead people to believe that next up from Nintendo is going to be the N64 Classic.
Surprising no one.
Yes.
But that controller is not going to feel good.
There's a trademark, basically. So, Nintendo put in a trademark with a very kind of stylized outline of an N64 controller. The last time that they did this was for an NES controller, and it was the icon of that controller on the top of the box for the NES Classic. So the thinking is that this is probably going to be an N64. Now, yes, I agree with you, Michael. The N64 controller is a big pile of garbage, and I do think that they should totally remake it, no matter how much people with nostalgia want to put their hands 2 millimeters from each other to have.
It's the worst.
I've got a big hand, bro, and I can't hold that middle dick part of the controller and not have my hand rub up against my other hand.
What was the D-pad even for?
Who the fudge knows? So, all right, we gave Sony its due. Let's give Nintendo their due. 5 games from the N64 you'd like to see on the N64 Classic.
I didn't have a 64.
Oh, you didn't have an N64?
I didn't have one.
Hey, me either.
That's the whole reason I didn't play Ocarina of Time until it came out for 3DS.
Majora's Mask, I would definitely want on there because that's an actual,
I guess,
good game.
Mario Kart, the Mario Party, one of the Mario parties.
Goldeneye.
Mario Tennis, actually. That would be nice to be.
Yeah.
That it first came out on that.
Was there? That was after Square broke up with Nintendo, right? So there were no JRPG. There were no Square JRPGs.
It was shocking when Final Fantasy VII came out for the PS1.
Yeah. Let's see.
It would be a lot of Nintendo games, I guess. And Mario 64, of course, is going to be on there.
What do we got? I just got a list here.
They
Perfect
can't put GoldenEye. That's the thing. They can't do some of these. Star Fox 64 will show up.
Yeah.
Bomberman, maybe. Do not put Donkey Kong 64. That game is garbage, and your nostalgia has fucked you.
Rogue Squadron?
Kirby and the Crystal something or whatever. That was really fun. I remember that. Because some of these games I played because my cousin had one.
Yeah.
And but Pokemon Snap, though, that would be fine.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Pokemon Stadium, maybe? I don't know, but it wouldn't work the same way is the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I never had an N64, and I guess it really speaks a lot to my desire to be like,
Shadows of the Empire? I don't know.
Yonzo, bro. Wake me up when you get to the GameCube.
Yeah, I would rather get to that point.
The GameCube one.
Smash Brothers would have to be on there, the original one?
Oh, yeah, definitely. A lot more Nintendo, because that was kind of like part of Nintendo's, like, that was a real Nintendo
It absolutely
console.
was. There were games on it, but a lot of them were shittier versions of games that were on PS1.
Yeah.
Like, even their version of Spider-Man didn't even have cutscenes in it.
Shock. So, yeah. Let us know in the comments below what you would like to see.
Let us know that we're terrible people for not having a 64 when we grew up.
I don't know what your excuse is, but when I was a teenager, and I was all just like, fuck Nintendo, that's for babies. PlayStation, man! And then also between the point where there was a PlayStation, before the PlayStation came out, when it was just the N64 and like the Dreamcast or whatever, I was just doing drugs and trying to kiss girls. So, like,
we liked the controller more. That's mostly what it was, actually. And I was really obsessed with Crash Bandicoot as a kid.
Fair enough. All right, we got some more Nintendo news. Nintendo also put out their the online this week. Came out on Tuesday. Yep. And as you're going to see tomorrow, we
catch up
a bunch of NES games for the 100th time. You could play. Have you ever played Ice Climber before?
I actually have only played it once, and I hated it.
Grant and I played Ice Climber, and I was just like, fuck, dude.
A lot of old Nintendo games that people don't like talking about anymore, there's a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's 20 out right now. Soccer, Tennis, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber, Dr. Mario, Legend of Zelda, Mario Brothers 3, Double Dragon, River City Ransom, Ghouls and Ghosts, Tecmo Bowl, Gradius, Pro Wrestling, Excite Bike, Yoshi, Ice Hockey, and Baseball.
I think it's cool that they put River City Ransom on there, though. That game actually still holds up, I think.
I gotta check, but when we launched River City Ransom, it ran like garbage. It was just like,
oh really?
It ran in slow motion. I was like, why is my favorite game running in such bad?
That's a shame.
In October, though, they're going to be adding more every month. It looks like 3 a month. So October, Solomon's Key, NES Open Tournament Golf and Super Dodgeball. November, Metroid, Mighty Bomb Jack and Twin Bee. In December, Wario's Woods, Ninja Gaiden, and The Adventures of Lolo. This, to me, I mean, like, I bought it, and we're going to show it on Rage Select. And the fact that it's only $20 a year means that it's kind of underneath my cost radar to really get bitchy about. But, like, this is a shit-ass lineup, and the fact that there's so few of them and that they're adding 3 a month, this is typical Nintendo, like, stinginess, where they're like, hey, guys, you can play all your favorite NES games, kind of, and we're going to put out 3 new games a month, kind of, and, like, I know you've already played them 100 times before, 40-year-old man who owns a Nintendo Switch, but, like, we'll sell them to you again. Don't worry. You could get...
My favorite thing is that the 3 they announced for each month is like No One Gives a Fuck, Metroid Yay, Ninja Gaiden, or like December's are actually not bad, but the first 2 other months are like, man, fuck you guys.
I mean, I like Super Dodgeball, but like,
do you really though?
I do. I did when I was 11.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, at least for the original lineup, I'm like, yeah, River City Ransom's pretty solid. So is Double Dragon, but I don't want to play Super Mario Bros. 3 for the billionth time on another system. Same with The Legend of Zelda and Dr. Mario. Fucking Dr. Mario. Stop re-releasing Dr. Mario. I don't fucking care anymore.
Here's the other thing, sir. Why would you ever play Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, or Super Mario Brothers 3 when you can play Super Mario All-Stars? Like,
yeah, that's true.
You guys need to fucking get off my jock with that 8-bit bullshit, because there's totally better versions of these games, including the Lost Levels, that I could be playing. And like, yes, Super Mario Brothers 3 is a good game. I'm not here to say that's not the case, but like,
it's just it's been re-released to fucking death.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I can only want to buy these things or pay for them in some way, in so many fucking ways.
Right. It also is, I mean, like,
and I'm not that much of a fan of Dr. Mario.
It is laughable. Like, Nintendo's online offering is laughable compared to Sony and Nintendo and even the PC that have been doing it for so long.
They outright admitted that they thought internet gaming was going to be a fad at one point.
Yeah.
They legitimately thought that was a thing. And now, like 2 consoles later, it's like, guys, come on.
You have to do something. You can't keep doing this. So anyway, but hey, you know what? You get a bunch of NES games, and you know what the worst thing in the world is? Playing them with half a Joy-Con. Playing them with half a Joy-Con sucks. But not to worry, because last week they announced the NES controller, the controller that you can get, and it'll slide into the side. It's like a Joy-Con, and so yeah, you can use that. And hey, and maybe not only that, but like the Joy-Cons are so small in my hand that maybe I can buy a pair of these things, so I can play them with my friends when we play. Oh no, you can't, because you have to be a Nintendo Online subscriber to buy them, and they only work with NES games. And I don't understand why those two things exist. Like,
one of them I can maybe vouch for,
which is
the subscriber thing, is maybe to try to keep scalpers from doing it as much.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
That's the only one I can think of, but the second one is no. There's no forgiving that one.
Well, okay, so I will say that, like, the Joy-Cons have 4 face buttons, and the NES controllers only have 2 face buttons, right? But then they also have an L and an R button for some reason. Like, they have a start and the select button, which on the Joy-Con, start is hold down minus and then press L, SL, or SR. I don't understand. Like, these things are $60 and they're just like, so put some more buttons on it, Nintendo. Like,
just come out with the Super Nintendo one at that point.
Or something. I mean, like, I don't like, I've got big ass hands. And using that little Joy-Con controller with your big-ass hands.
It sucks.
And I don't like playing 8-bit games with an analog stick because I like the precision feel of a D-pad. So, like, it's just like, why?
I don't know.
$60. Okay, so you have to buy our online service, then you have to pay $60 to get these controllers that basically only work with the NES game. You know what you could also do is you could just spend $60 on an NES Classic and get like the 12 best games that were on the NES and not bother with Solomon's Key or fucking baseball or balloon fight. I don't
fucking get them anymore. I used to love you, Nintendo, but you just make weird fucking decisions.
It's not even like it's the worst decision in the world. It's not exactly like EA's, like, fighting with local governments over loot boxes or anything. It's just like, guys, come on, I want to love you, and you just make it very difficult.
I want to give you money.
Right.
I do. I really do.
Right.
But you keep slapping my hand.
It's like when the SNES Classic came out and they had such that limited, or the NES Classic came out and they had that super limited run, and it was just like, motherfuckers. So I just got a Raspberry Pi and downloaded all the ROMs of all the NES games, and I was like, all right, fuckface, I'll just do it myself. Like, I was more than happy to go to the store and give you money, but you made 8 of those things, and then you let everybody buy them online.
And then they made like a shit ton of the controllers, though, so you could buy them super easily.
Yep.
It's really shitty.
Sure enough.
Oh, my God.
So, anyway, I'm still going to buy one. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Of course, I guess. I don't know.
But hey, you know what? Maybe you don't have the money to be buying these Nintendo controllers, to be buying these online passes. But you know what? You need the online passes to play online games now, right? So what the fuck are you going to play if you're not playing your Nintendo games online on your Switch online? The answer, I know, it was really stupid and convoluted. My segues have gotten too big. The answer is Fortnite, because Fortnite is not going to require a subscription, which seems weird to me, because if there was one game on the Switch that you would want people to have to pay $4 a month to play online, it would be the most popular cash cow video game in the entire world right now, Fortnite, which is also free to play. And so you don't actually have to give Nintendo any money to play it. So
what deal did they make with him then? That must have been a hell of a deal for them. Yeah, that's probably what it was. They probably made some sort of deal with him to get it on that console to begin with.
Yeah.
That must have had some weird fucking part of it in there.
Well, no, I could see Epic saying, like, look, bro, this is a selling point, right? Is like, a kid wants to play, kids like Fortnite. Nintendo traditionally has a reputation as being a kids-friendly company, even though last week Senran Kagura Reflections came out on the Switch, which was just a total fucking grope a chick game.
Well, that's all those games, to be honest.
No.
If you didn't know that by now, yes.
No. No, I played all of them, Michael. I actually do know at this point. But this one used the Joy-Cons to literally simulate you using your hands to give people massages or like grope on them and do stuff. It was
and that's
gross.
After they told them to not do certain versions of that, though. Yeah. It was much worse before that originally.
Anyway, so hey, you want
the cooking one?
Well, yeah, but the cooking one doesn't have like two controllers that simulate your two hands slapping, and like they use the HD rumble to like simulate.
Oh, wait, really?
Oh yeah, it's real funky and gross, dude.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to tell you, like Nintendo, they flipped the switch back about like it's no problem. So anyway, yeah. So that's Nintendo. That's Sony. Let's talk about some trailers. Let's talk about Xbox.
Yeah.
You know what's coming to the Xbox One? Devil May Cry 5.
Oh, it's about to be like anything, really?
one game, maybe. And this game, we got a new trailer this week. We got a few new trailers this week. This Devil May Cry 5, this new trailer focuses a lot on Dante.
Yep.
And it makes me sad because I want it to just be a Dante game. I like the old Dante in this trailer.
Yeah, he's aged quite a bit, actually.
You know what he looks like to me is he looks like an older guy that's still trying to pretend he's young.
Well, that's absolutely what he is.
Right.
And the cowboy boots and everything.
Yeah, with the big leather jacket, but like his face is like a 50-year-old man.
He's that guy who's like, I'm young and trying to eat pizza, but it's probably bad for him now.
Right. This trailer looks like the Devil May Cry game that I would really like to play for a while there before Nero shows up. But
you fucking hate Nero so much.
Hey, the way the true blue Devil May Cry fans feel about new Dante is the way that I feel about Nero.
That's fair, though.
Finally,
actually, I think that's fair.
We got to see Lady and Trish are both in here, running around doing the same thing. Neither one of them seems to have aged at all.
Yeah, I don't know what Dante has seen some shit in his Marvel vs. Capcom days. Apparently,
Dante's been doing Jaeger bombs every night. Yeah, but I mean, so much of this is this looks like very traditional Devil May Cry with kind of like these weird hell dimension levels and wackadoo crazy stuff. Dante's shaving on a saw blade demon. He's got a motorcycle that splits in half,
which is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and then of course we've got Nero, who's he's doing stuff too.
He's still got some of the same moves too.
He's also here. I'm going too, Dante. You gotta take me along. I'm a good fight man.
I got a rocket fist now.
I got a rocket fist, Dante.
And that character who has a southern accent for some reason.
Oh, the weaponsmith lady.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? It's funny. This makes me way more excited about Devil May Cry than the first trailer because this looks a lot more like Devil May Cry. It kind of reminds me of like the visuals from Devil May Cry 2 in some ways.
I could see that.
Just because of the way that Dante looks older.
Well, yeah, because at this point, every re-release of something, it has him in his 3 costume for some reason.
Right.
Like he just isn't allowed to have a shirt in anything outside of sequels, apparently.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Is he Devil Trigger mode briefly?
I think it looks really cool, too, in this one.
Yeah. And everything looks real nice. So, more...
It looks gorgeous.
And then we've got there's a new bad guy, and I don't really know who he is. Do you know who this guy is?
No.
Okay, so this is just some new guy.
I'm just expecting Dante to get stabbed by his own sword again, because it happens in everything he's in.
Yep. Because Dante's kind of bad at his thing. Also, hey, do you like Nero so much that you would like to have a Mega Man blaster instead of his regular rocket arm, bro?
Jumping and shooting.
Bro, is Mega Man. I hate it when Capcom does this shit. You remember they put it like Monster Hunter? They put the it was like you could make your cat into like Mega Man or something like that.
You will not disparage my cat who's wearing that costume right now.
I keep thinking it's like Capcom, you do not have to shove Mega Man into everything. You're already making a Mega Man game.
Well, my issue originally used to be that they used to do that and not make Mega Man games. Mm-hmm. There was a time frame where they were like Mega Man related everything, but we're not putting Mega Man in anything.
Like Mega Man costumes for Dead Rising and no new Mega Man game.
I think the worst instance of it was when Street Fighter 4 or something was coming out. They were like, if you pre-order now in the Capcom store, you get Mega Man themed like stickers of Street Fighter characters. Oh, by the way, we're not making Mega Man games though. It's like, what the fuck?
I think the last time that I really cared about Mega Man and some of their franchise was in that Street Fighter Cross Tekken when they had like American box art Mega Man.
I fucking loved that though.
He's so dumpy and weird looking.
He was this fat version of him, and I couldn't stop going, man, I want that to just be Mega Man now.
So I would play a whole game where
exactly.
Okay, all right, I gotta fight Cut Man.
There's a great webcomic where they're like, we've decided on the Mega Man we're gonna pick that guy, and he's like eating a sandwich out of a trash can.
Yeah. So. Anyway, you can get some. This is going to come with the deluxe edition that also comes with a bunch of other arms and a special motorcycle sword and like some live action cutscenes as a bullet point that I'm looking at here.
I don't really know what that means.
What is that? What does that mean? That means that's more confusing to me than any of the rest of these things.
Is it going to be acting like the Mortal Kombat mythologies?
Oh man,
I'd love that shit.
Also, why is a guy that looks like the villain? He's walking with with Dante and Nero.
Maybe he's a new protagonist or something.
Is it
Maybe
Nero's brother?
His long lost brother Nero.
Yes. Let's see. It's a Capcom-a-Palooza on trailers today because we also got a Resident Evil 2 story trailer. As somebody who still remembers what the story sort of to Resident Evil 2 was, sort of. We got to see. I don't feel like we've seen Claire up until now.
No, we've seen her, but like only bits and pieces. This is probably the most in a trailer she's been in a while.
Yeah. Everybody looks like a real baby in this game. Like
that's kind of what they were, though, at timeline wise.
Yeah, but they're like in their 20s. Like,
well, he wasn't a rad enough dude to save the president's daughter at this point.
Leon's
and fur jackets or whatever he had in Part 4.
Ada's like Lois Lane or something in this trailer. Yeah, it's a lot of babies. A lot of weird shit. I'm still really excited.
It's super exciting, actually.
I like RE2. And I think an updated version. Capcom really got a lot of cachet with me when they made RE7. Like, love that game so much.
The best thing about this is it looks like they're leaning heavily towards the horror again.
Yeah.
Which is what anybody fucking wants from Resident Evil again.
Well, what I actually really like about this is that from what I can see, they're doing the same thing that RE2 does, which is they give you 2 full playthroughs of the game with different stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because you have your Leon side where it's Leon and Ada, and then the Claire side with Claire and Sherry Birkin.
Like disc A and B or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't remember how it was labeled anymore. I still have it actually somewhere.
Oh, the original PS1, right?
Yeah, my brother gave me a big old binder full of some old games and had a bunch of old PS1 games in it.
Okay. But yeah, this trailer is, I don't know, it's funny. I feel like all the trailers that we've seen so far for RE2 Remake have been like in the police station in one way or another.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to see like, guy with big eyeball in his giant arm and
yeah,
Ada.
The bad guy. And Sherry Birkin.
Yep. Sherry Birkin, everybody's favorite character from Resident Evil 6.
Fun times. Her plotline was weird.
Her and Wesker's
son,
kid.
And he had a melee mode, and I used it a lot. I played that in co-op with my friend.
Yeah,
and he kept hating me because every time we came across a new enemy, I'm like, I'm gonna go punch it, and I'd run at it.
Oh man, you're the one using up all the sprays, Michael.
I was that guy. I kept going. I'm down. I need help. He's like, fucking goddamn it.
Yeah. We got a real big Mega Man 11 trailer from TGS. This shows
Rockman is back.
Yeah, kind of all of the different stages and like Colossus and stuff. I feel like you're more of a Mega Man fan than I am. What are you thinking about this?
I'm really glad that they decided to make one that wasn't just 8-bit again. Yeah, that was my issue with 9 and 10.
Okay.
Hopefully it's not stupid hard like 9 and 10 was, because that was my issue with 9 and 10.
Right.
It looks great though. It's it reminds me kind of. Did you ever play Mega Man Power Up?
Nope.
It was a PS1 remake of Mega Man 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
That was actually a lot of fun.
Wait, I did play that.
Yeah, they were super fun actually.
Yeah. Was it 3D?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Except they all had like big heads. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I actually totally remember that. I think it was the last time I played a Mega Man game all the way to the end was with that one.
Yeah, it's got an art style that's very similar to that.
Okay. Yeah, I part of me too, I feel like you look at this game and it's just like, oh, Mighty Number 9. How hard did you fuck up when like this just looks like what everybody wanted 2 years ago out of Mighty Number 9?
Well, Capcom, I feel like, looked at it and went, wait, we can still make money off of Mega Man?
Right. Make a new Mega Man game. Yeah, I played the demo for it. Seems pretty cool.
Which I'm glad, because it's I've always really liked Mega Man as a character, and I love him. He's so adorable.
I like the new mechanic between the slowdown and then like the super burst mode or whatever. Like, I like it because it gives you like, if you're having a real hard time with like one set of platforming, you just like hit the slow down time button and like give it a shot and it'll be easier.
It's like that great Beautiful Joe move.
Never ended up playing that game.
I loved Beautiful Joe.
Beautiful Joe.
It had Dante from Devil May Cry. I'm serious.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, there you go. All right, so guess what? From there, we're going to move on to Yakuza. So Yakuza is moving from the traditional to Yakuza Online. We've got a brand new character. Oh, this is not the trailer that I wanted to go with. We got a brand new character who's like kind of like inverted Kiryu. Like instead of short hair, he's got long hair.
Yeah, what the hell am I looking at?
He's got a white jacket. He's got a red jacket with a white shirt instead of a white jacket with a red shirt. So there's this whole big old trailer where this guy, he's fighting. He's part of the Tojo clan, and then like all these guys are coming out, and then like one by one, here comes Goro Majima, and here comes that one guy from Sky Finance, and here comes Haruka from like Kiryu's Past,
the fuck?
and like here comes everybody, and now we're gonna have a battle, and like it's Yakuza Online. And then there's the one little thing at the end that I don't know if you noticed, Michael. Do you see the platforms that this game is coming to?
What the fuck? iOS and Android?
Uh-huh. Because when you go look at the real trailer for the game that's not a cinematic trailer, what you find out is that the game actually looks like one of those bullshit kind of like,
oh my god,
put together a team and then fight a bunch of guys.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Well, it's just a spin-off game, right? I mean, they're making Project Judge, so...
But that trailer made it look like it would be like Grand Theft Auto Online kind of thing.
Right.
And it's like, oh no, it's just this little phone game.
Yeah, it's just a phone game where it's like, create your team. Get all the classic people from the Yakuza series. Oh, man, it takes forever to unlock Kiryu. I can't wait to do that.
Oh, God.
Boop, boop, boop.
There's probably like character packs you can buy or some shit. I don't know. It looks, yeah.
I'm just so glad that they introduced this 1 week after they introduced Project Judge, because I'm way more interested in Project Judge.
Yeah.
Let's see. Earth Defense Force Iron Rain looks fucking great. And if you have like a medical condition where people saying too many things at the same time will like make your tongue fall out or like makes you poop yourself or something,
okay,
don't watch this trailer, because it's literally just people, like almost the entire 2/3 of it is just people talking over other people. Talking over people.
In bad voice acting terms.
Yeah, real bad voice acting.
It's the best.
It looks amazingly incredible. I can't tell whether this is a spin-off game or whether this is actually like the game that's going to come after EDF 5 comes out. But no matter what it is, oh man, it looks great.
Because they look like a specific actual like team.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Like, because they have distinct colors compared to the normal EDF colors?
Yeah, it makes me think that it's probably a standalone story, because, like, in EDF, like, just regular dudes get eaten by bugs all the time, and the fact that in this trailer we're hearing, like, 4 different voices makes it seem like there are characters.
Well, not only that, like, this trailer actually has, like, plots going on in it.
Yeah.
Where most EDF trailers are like, fight giant bugs, fight giant... more bugs, I guess. I don't know.
Other stuff. There's also a Godzilla now.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's kind of neat. Like, they're actually like throwing plot lines at you in the trailer, which I think is kind of interesting if they actually go through with it.
Yep. It is interesting too to see all the like jetpack stuff, because in the EDF series, like the only people who fly are the wing divers, and they're all women with like the cyber ponytails or pigtails. Yeah, it looks great. I've fucking love EDF.
EDF is a guilty pleasure of mine.
As long as it doesn't cost $60, I love it. Like, because it ain't worth $60.
Well, it depends on the person.
I don't like the way that they want you to play every mission over and over and over and over and over again to get like the equipment and stuff.
That's fair.
But
it's a Monster Hunter-y kind of thing to me.
Yeah.
Where I'm just used to that sort of thing.
I can see that. Anyway, Earth Defense Force Iron Rain looks pretty fantastic.
Got giant scorpions.
And a Godzilla. And spiders and all kinds of stuff. I feel like they're just like, okay, we need a list of phobias. All right, take the top 10 and then just like make them a thing. Then the next enemy's going to be like, speaking in a public place. Well, speaking of Monster Hunter, we also got a trailer from TGS for God Eater 3, also full of just like an unending string of gobbledygook, like
anime trailer-y things.
Yeah, just people saying things that really don't mean anything. It's like watching an Ace Combat trailer where you're like, wait, who? Wait, actually, what? Yeah. Wait, who? Wait, what? Who? You said you've never played this one before, but this is like kind of a Monster Hunter style game, right?
Yeah, I had a friend of mine who really loved these games because he had because they were handheld games for a long time, PSP games.
Yeah,
and then the PSPs weren't doing that well, and they kept re-releasing them.
It was like Sony's answer to like Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah, kind of. But well, Monster Hunter was also on the PSP at one point. They used to be PlayStation games until fairly recently. And then again, I guess recently. But this was them trying to get that Monster Hunter money again.
Okay.
But with the anime influence as well, which you can see with all the giant racks that people have. It reminds me of Dennis going, it was very, very, what does he used to tell that lady?
The implication?
Yeah, no, when he draws the giant breasts on somebody when he's drawing it.
I don't remember that.
I think he said, no, I was very, I can't remember anymore. The comments will tell me.
Yeah. Did you watch the two new episodes?
I saw the first new episode where he shows up at the end of it.
Oh, with the dentist doll?
Yeah. Oh shit, he came to life. No, it's on the ground.
Mindy Kaling, it was pretty good.
It's a pretty great one.
Yeah, so I don't know. This is interesting. I actually bought God Eater 2. God Eater 2, I believe, was one of the...
Very generous. Sorry, that's what he says.
The PSP game, the PS Vita game that I wanted to play on the Vita TV for Rage Select, and then the fucking stupid Vita TV turned out to have HDCP hard locked on the entire time. Then it came out HD for the PS4, and I bought it again and didn't play it. So... There are a lot of games that come through here that don't get played. Like, sometimes they're on Steam and they get a refund. Sometimes they sit in my PlayStation 4 library and they don't get played. Like, I downloaded Warface this week. I'm probably just going to not play it and then delete it at some point.
Warface?
It's a free-to-play Call of Duty online thing where it's supposed to be like kind of like, if you like Call of Duty but you don't want to pay for Call of Duty, you can just play Warface instead.
I might try that out.
PC game, but... speaking of anime weirdness, we got a Killer 7 trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Which reminded me exactly of how fucking rough around the edges and garbage sometimes Killer 7 could be. Boy,
everyone had special powers.
The audio in this trailer is weirdly bad.
That's kind of how the game was, though.
Yeah.
Like, the game wasn't, like, the game's audio was fucking strange.
Watching it made me wish that they had a VR version of this, because I forgot that it's like, there's not a lot of like, it's just, the motion is just like forward and back and then like pick a direction and then you just have to aim with your gun. It would be really cool if you could do that in VR.
That's the thing about Killer 7 that some people forget, is that it wasn't this like character action-y thing.
No.
It was very slow.
Yeah. Because you're on it's like a rail shooter almost.
Yeah, it really was. Like, you couldn't move left or right. It was just up and down, really.
Forward and back, and then sometimes you would get a choice about, do you want to go left or right?
Yeah. It was a lot of fun though for me.
It's weird. I'm gonna be interested to see when it comes out if it holds up in any way, shape, or form, because I feel like I was willing to overlook a lot of the gameplay bullshit because I was like, what? This is fucking nuts.
It was very inventive at the time. And you're right. It might not hold up for me now. But who knows? I will give it a shot again.
Yeah. Soon, too, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
From there, let's see. We got a trailer for Home Sweet Home. I don't know. There's a lot to say here. This is like a horror game that's coming out pretty soon.
Things happen. Things murder you. Box cutters.
Yeah. There's a lady stabbing at you with a box cutter while you just stand there. She's a zombie. Jump Force has a bunch of new announcements this week.
They announced Yusuke Urimeshi from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yep.
It was another one of those shows that got popular because of Toonami. He's a spirit detective, so he's basically a ghost cop.
Yep, John has told me all about it. He's a big fan of that as well.
Yeah, it was a very popular anime.
And then we also got another trailer for some Akira Toriyama care. It's just like, hey, you guys, you like Akira Toriyama, right? You anime nerd. I feel like this whole game, the Jump Force is just like, hey, anime nerds who watch Toonami, you like this shit?
You like the shit?
Check out some more of this shit. We got Dragon Ball guy. He's drawing people. Director Glover.
He made his own custom characters, apparently.
Here's a robot. Here's a lady.
Who's the villain?
Who's a villain. Here's another
Same with
guy.
other dude named Kane, who's also a villain, who's got a cell look for some reason.
Yep.
I don't fucking, yeah.
Yep.
He's got a very distinct style. But Dr. Slump characters are probably the only times they don't look like Dragon Ball characters.
Boy, they all just look exactly the same to me. Or close to it. Yeah. So
I'm looking forward to it, but at the same time, I'm not sure, because I remember playing J-Stars, and I'm like, well, this is okay, but it's not what I would want to in a fighting-ish kind of game.
I've decided that I don't like that style. I don't like that Naruto, Dragon Ball, like not those franchises, but like that style of just like
no, exactly what you
one-on-one character fighting games.
That's why I like the Fighter so much, because it was different, or not different.
Yeah.
It was back to a fighting game.
Right. It sucks for me because they put out just like this much footage for there's a Kill la Kill game coming out.
Oh, okay.
And it's that style. And I'm just
really?
oh, man.
That's
all right.
Every game is that. Like, they made that new My Hero Academia game like that, too.
Yeah, I'm going to play that one, though. I'm going to play that one. I don't care. All right. So, let's see. Residence of Fate is coming out in 4K for the PS4 and the PC October 18th for $35. If you don't know what Residence of Fate is, I'm pretty sure, let me look it up and make sure, that John and I played it back on a Super Awesome Video Game Show a long time ago, because we both like that game. It's a real weird Tri-Ace game. I can't get my YouTube channel to come up here.
That's a very interesting look, too.
Nah. Oh, that's why it's in the wrong place. Yeah, it's a very odd game. It's got, if you've never heard of it before, it's a weird niche game that was on the PS3. I think it was a PS3 exclusive.
It looks like it, because I'd never heard of it outside of that.
And it was really interesting, and then they just never re-released it. Residence of Fate, October 6, 2014.
Oh, wow. Fuck. That's
4 years ago.
Jesus.
We played Residence of Fate. Yep. So I think that if you've never played Residence of Fate before, it's a really interesting game. You should check it out. Ooh, watch our video. You can find out. Let's do a little quick wrap up here. CD Projekt Red is putting out Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales on October 23rd. That is the single player Gwent campaign.
Oh,
basically.
okay. That's weird.
I saw this, I put it on the news list, and I started looking into it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's Gwent. All right. Which,
Gwent.
I mean, maybe, like, if it's a single-player thing, I'm just not interested in Gwent all that much. But, like...
I don't know. That's
shit.
Sure. It's a card game. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. And let's see. Let's end up with a couple of quick, fun things. There was a trailer this week for Fallout 4 New Vegas, which is a team that is attempting to essentially mod all of Fallout New Vegas into Fallout 4.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they had a 10-minute video that they put out that was just the very beginning of Fallout New Vegas, where you wake up and Dot Mitchell asks you to...
I feel like this is a cease and desist waiting to happen.
It's funny. Normally I would say that, but I don't. But Bethesda seems to not give as much of a shit about, like, modding, right? Like, people made whole campaigns and stuff.
Well, it depends on what happens.
Maybe. Either that, or like this is just basically somebody's audition tape to go work at Bethesda.
Or maybe it's them trying to convince them to just do this for them.
Right. Just fucking put out New Vegas, please. Let's see. If you're a fan of Overwatch and you're a fan of Genji, you could buy a sword.
Oh, yeah. You too can be more of a weeaboo than ever before.
Like, of all the props from Overwatch, this was like the last one that I would be interested in actually owning. It's $200.
Teenage me would have loved something like this.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, like, okay, you know what?
It lights up, though.
It does light up. Yeah. It's got an LED in it. I'm not one to talk because for Christmas I was given a Soldier 76 jacket that I'm still too fat to fit into.
But that's practical, though.
Except that I'm still too fat to fit into it. So
okay.
I don't want to be fat 76 over here. I want to be, You
can be Dad 76 then.
I've been thinking about going as Fat Kratos for Halloween. Fat old Kratos for Halloween. Because it's like, I've got my beard and I've got my shaved head. I just paint the red stripe on and put on like a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah,
Boy. And last but not least, everybody who's anybody knows that there's a game that is very near and dear to my heart. It is Heat Signature, the game by the man that made Gunpoint, where you go around and steal spaceships. Well, Heat Signature is turning 1 year old today. Or, this week. Well, by the time you hear this, soon, right? And they're doing an awesome thing. They've got a gigantic update full of new features that they're adding in.
Oh, wow.
You can opt into the beta. By the time this is out, I think it'll September 27th is when it'll be all the way out. So by the time this goes up, will be
a few days away.
It'll still have like 4 days. But the coolest thing is that they're rolling out these new features day by day.
Really?
So as of recording this, day 1 is an addition in the beta branch on Steam called Character Traits, where the characters in the game now have individual traits that will make them like unsteady or rich or like they're frail, and if they die, they just die immediately.
Oh, wow.
Or like there's one I like the way that they all have like individual descriptions. There's one that says like blacklisted, and it's like no shop will sell you anything. You know what you did. But it looks like every day they're going to be adding in another thing like this, and it's at like 8 days, I believe. Yeah, 8 full days of adding stuff in, and then on the 8th day, the actual update with all of this stuff will be out, and you'll be able to play it.
That's really cool, actually.
That's so awesome. I love Heat Signature so goddamn much. And yeah. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to answer questions. But guess what else we're going to talk about?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, we are.
Stay tuned. Have a bunch of questions this week, but before we get to those questions, you and I both finished Spider-Man.
Yes.
It's time to talk about Spider-Man. Spider-Man, if you have been living under a rock or have an Xbox One, no, I'm sorry.
I don't feel bad for them.
Was it Insomniac?
Yes, Insomniac.
Yep, latest Spider-Man game. It's a Spider-Man game. The best Spider-Man game I've probably played ever.
It's fantastic.
It's really good. I think that it's so okay. It's your normal Spider-Man game, right? You're Spider-Man. You're going around. You're doing your spider stuff. You've got your web swinging. You've got your combat system. You got crimes that are happening. You got to stop them. It looks fantastic. It sounds fantastic. I have a few quibbles with it. So, I brought the biggest Spider-Man fan that I know over here so that I could basically have tiny quibbles with the game that because here's the thing. I feel like people are talking about this new Spider-Man game like it's unassailable, like it's unimpeachable, like there's nothing to really criticize about it. And I
don't think that's true at all, though.
What's that?
I don't even think that's true at all, too.
Well, I guess the people that I've been talking to that like it, they seem to like it so much that I'm like, well, I mean, like I have some issues with the boss fights in Spider-Man. I think they're a little dumbed down, and I think that there are ways that you can have better boss fights. Like I think that the boss fights largely are like kind of quick time event Zelda style, hit them 3 times and then do a thing. And I think I would have rather had something akin to a health bar that I had to chisel down over time while getting used to the patterns. Like there's some parts later on in the game where you're literally fighting 2 bosses, and it's kind of like, well, but you're just doing one thing. You're kind of just having to execute on a certain set of actions in order to beat the boss. And some of these bosses are really iconic characters, and I wish that there was a little bit more build up. Like, I kind of feel that fighting two iconic Spider-Man villains at the same time was kind of rushing things a little bit, considering there's a big chunk in the first 2/3 of the game where there's a long stretch of kind of you're fighting one or two factions and you're doing kind of one or two things, and then at the end it's like they kind of manufacture this thing where the whole plot just like speeds up to 11.
Yeah,
we're gonna get
really
all
does.
Spider-Mans in here. So that's one critique I have. I also don't really like the fact that like there's all these unlocks that you can do in the game, and most of them are very reasonable. But then there is a certain set of them that are hidden behind these Taskmaster challenges that are kind of difficult. Like, I mean, and if they're not difficult, it's unlike a lot of the other things in the game. The Taskmaster challenges, you have to like the number of tokens you get. Okay, so let me just, for anybody who doesn't know, the way that the upgrades in the game works is that you get tokens for doing things. Like you'll have bases and you'll take the bases down and you get a certain number of tokens for doing that. Crimes give you tokens. Research stations give you tokens. There's all these different currencies that you get, and that things, suits and gadgets and certain types of upgrades cost, not upgrades, but suits and gadgets cost different currencies. So like the certain type of web blaster will be like one crime token and one base token, and so you
But the
need
backpack tokens too, yeah.
right, or backpack. You get backpack tokens. But then later on in the game, they introduce a series of things where these are challenges where if you like, you know, it's essentially a race, like say a Spider-Man race. And like the faster that you do it, the more checkpoints you hit, the higher your score is. And you get either 1, 2, or 3 stars, kind of Angry Bird style, right? And the more stars you get, the more tokens you get. But there's no other way to get those tokens. And when you get towards the end of the game, the only currency that you're going to be short on are these Taskmaster tokens, and they require you, in order to get more of them, to just do these missions over and over again. And it wouldn't be as irritating if, like, so I don't know if you can probably sympathize with this, but like it seems like there's no way when you're doing the challenge to know if you've borked it. Like the combat challenges, it's like there's like a score multiplier, and there's like a time multiplier, and then there's like a something else. And so it's like I can't tell what I'm in the middle of. I did one combat challenge that I got 2 stars on. I want to get 3 stars on. And I just had to do it over and over again, and I could never tell whether I had enough points. Also, it was hard to keep track of points when you've got like 8 guys shooting at you and shit's being thrown at you and whatever. So I didn't really like that because it felt like everything else in the game was enough of a challenge, but not like overtly challenging. And then just to eke out these last few things, which I would have been more than happy to do, required doing these kind of repetitive tasks over and over and over and over and over again to try to get the best score possible on them. So that was also another thing that I wasn't like super happy about, especially considering that it's very easy to beat the game without unlocking everything. You get half the stuff.
It helps a lot, though.
Yeah, it does.
It also doesn't impede it, though, I think, more than anything.
No. But so I was talking to Jason today about how, like, I mean, I could go back and try to 3-star all of those Taskmaster challenges, but, like, I already beat the game.
Yeah.
Like, I could use that to unlock new gadgets that I don't have, but I've already beaten the game. So, like, why would I need to unlock more gadgets except to maybe do better on some of the Taskmaster challenges?
I do know they announced a new Game Plus mode that they're going to make eventually. That's supposed to come out in October or something.
Yeah.
But the thing is, here's the thing, is I agree with pretty much everything you've said.
Yes.
And I actually have more criticisms than you do. The boss battles ones, like that one, I'm not too criticizing of.
Yeah.
Only because Arkham Asylum's like that, and so is the other Arkham games.
Yeah, and I feel like
that was always my issues with those games too.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some fun things in some of the boss battles. Like you can actually get villains to hit other villains.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really fun. But besides the challenge stuff, because I fucking hated the challenge part. Like, I was really mad, because like you said, you can't fucking tell if you fuck something up.
Yep.
Like the bomb one, I'm like, I'm doing really well. You got 1 star. I'm like, why did I get 1 star, though? Because fuck you, that's why. And I'm like, okay. My other issue is actually involves the combat. The reason some of the combat works in Arkham Asylum is because you can see what's going on around you much easier. Because if a dude with a knife is at like right next to you, you can see him because the camera's closer to you.
Right.
And so you can react better. You can't do that with this game because you're like, oh, why can't I hit this guy? Oh, he has a crowbar, but I couldn't tell because of the lighting, and it's a little zoomed out. and everything's moving so fast that I don't know who has what at sometimes.
It really starts to amp up once they bring guns into the picture.
Yeah.
Because you could just be like in the middle of trying, because it's like there's later on in the game, there's guys that have like a stick. And like for whatever reason, you can't web them and you can't punch them, but you can pop them up into the air. But then the game doesn't care if you're up in the air because you're still going to get shot with rockets.
Yeah. And the heavies are fucking ridiculous.
They are.
Like you dodge, and then they immediately do another check right after that and hit you anyways. It's like they're really hard to kill for no fucking reason, and it's a pain in the ass. But the other thing is that it has a super steep learning curve for combat in the beginning because you have very little health in the beginning for some reason, and people can kill you in like fucking. I died like 30 times in the first like 3 hours.
If anybody's a patron of Rage Select, so it's like Jason and I played part 1, which was my first time playing the game.
Yeah.
And I was kind of getting my ass kicked. And then Jason played part 2, and he knew how to play the game, so he was great. Because it is a game where it's like getting the rhythm of when to dodge, when to use your webs, when to swing a guy at another guy, like when to focus on one guy with webs so that you can get him stuck to the ground before moving on to the next guy. Like how to build up your thing for a finishing move. There's a lot of systems going on.
A lot of variables. Not only that, and a lot of ways of defeating some of the guys is way easier with more gadgets.
Yeah.
But my issue with that is that early on, that makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Especially the heavies. Because the heavies will just not fucking go down with normal means. And they get out of webs like that.
Yeah.
So you're trying to beat up a heavy guy, and then the dude who's fucking whiplash all of a sudden is it just grabs you in mid fucking air, and you're like, God damn it! I'm just trying to kill this heavy because he's an asshole.
Yep.
And I can't fucking whiplash back there for some fucking reason. Like little things like that.
But I will say,
once you get the hang of it, then it starts working out. But yeah, the steep learning curve in the beginning is such a pain in the ass.
I will say though that I agree with you. I'm glad that you said that because I feel like there is a very steep learning curve. However, once you crack that, like once your muscle memory, because it was
also the dodge button.
Yeah, it was a weird thing that I was talking to, I think it was Matt, about how like it's been a long time since I played a game like this where it's like the combat system is really designed to tie your fingers in knots. Like you're all over that controller. You're on the shoulder buttons and you're hitting the circle button and you're jumping and you're dodging. You're trying to move the camera to see a person. There's no like lock on. So
oh hell no.
Sometimes it's like not clear if you're trying to focus on one character. You're like, I didn't mean to finish that guy. I wanted to finish the shield guy. But like once you get all that done, and I think it's the same way with the web swinging, is that it's interesting how there's like a weird turning point, and then it's like either with upgrades or just getting used to it. And once you get past there, man, you do feel like Spider-Man.
It's so good once it does.
Like once you've learned that, like if I dodge in this direction, I'm going to hit the wall. Then I could do that rebound move off the wall. And once you get down some of the upgrades, where you can like pull weapons out of hands and swing them around, you get enough of the normal web that you could just web guys up to the wall. You know, and a lot of that is actually really elegantly helped with the way that missions in the game have like a separate set of challenges to give you more of the currency, where it's like air throw 3 guys. And to the game's credit, there's a total move list that's just in your pause menu, and it's just like air throw, jump in, hold down this button. And so you just have to like learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's amazing what they've done with the stealth in the game. I don't necessarily like the way that I feel like you can't, once you've broken stealth, that like,
you can't go back. Or you can, but it's really hard.
You can, but there's no really good clear. Like there was one where I was trying to do a set of guys that were like hijacked a bus, and like one of the sub objectives was like stealth 4 guys. I stealth 3 of them, and I was trying to get away from them so that they would reset back to not alert. And then I just got too far from that mission, and it was a map mission. It just popped it, and so they were just gone. Now the upside is that, you know, outside of Taskmaster challenges, everything else in the game is eminently doable. Like crime tokens, you just get those constantly because you're just swinging around doing stuff. And then the web swinging is like
phenomenal.
It's very elegant, very simple. Once you get that like the jump and the kind of double X button pull forward.
Well, that and the joystick thing. It took me a second to realize how to pick which building I was doing.
Oh yeah,
because you just move the joystick left or right to figure out which one you're gonna web.
Oh, I didn't even do that.
it's super. Like once you figure it out, you get so fucking fast.
Yeah,
because you're like, oh, I gotta turn this fucking corner, so you move it to the right and click it and just fucking God damn, it's so good.
I just started doing the thing where you just move it and then you hit the X button and you'll just pull forward in one direction.
Yeah, but it also helps like to go from like building the building.
Yeah,
because you're like swinging like this. It's fucking great. Like
yep.
The audience can't see me, but I'm basically doing this rocking motion, and you're just like, yeah, it's just like it's fucking. I ended up like when you chase the cars, I ended up passing the cars like 5 times because of it.
Yeah,
because like shit.
Shitload of suits. Just about every suit that you could want.
So many suits, except for the
Secret Wars suit,
black suit,
suit. Yep.
Like here's a black suit that's kind of lame. I'm like, but okay, sure, I guess.
Yep.
Also, I'm not a fan of that Ghost Rider one.
Oh,
I was never a fan of that costume. Like I remember the one that first showed up in the comic. I was like, man, I fucking hate this thing.
It's real weird looking. But in any case, here's the thing. I have minor gripes and issues with the thing. And also, I'm not the biggest like Spider-Man fan in the world, so like it's not, Yeah, I know. Michael's raising his hand. Michael's raising his hand.
I know so
what we need
things.
is you and I. We need a Superman game to come out, and then like Jason Murphy comes over here and starts nitpicking the Superman game, or just like, shut up with your Superman game.
I have gotten to so many Superman arguments since I started my new job.
Good.
So many Superman arguments.
You tell them what Superman's about. In any case, here's the bottom line: unless you are J. Jonah Jameson or have a console that's not a PlayStation 4, you should be playing Spider-Man. Like, it's well worth $60. It's like 20 hours or something, 15, 20 hours, something like that. The story is great. The voice acting is great. Did you know, like, I was watching a whole, like, did you know thing where it's like they have 2 different voice tracks when you're out in the world and you're like answering your phone, one if you're standing still and one with like a little bit of exertion in it.
Oh, seriously?
If you're swinging.
I never even considered that.
It's the same lines read a second time by the Spider-Man voice actor with just a little bit of kind of like, all right, Aunt May, I'll see you later. Kind of like if you're doing this web swinging as opposed to if you're just standing still and it's a slightly more calm read.
Yuri Lowenthal fucking kills it as Spider-Man, by the way. Oh, it's also real quick. I know I said I had a bunch of nitpicks when I first did it. You have to understand, audience, I spent 2 fucking days doing nothing but playing Spider-Man. I had so many errands I needed to do that just did not get done.
One of the things that one of the other last things that I will say before we get out of here, because it's also worth, we didn't touch on this, but like there's some kind of like sub-story. There's like kind of chapters and stories. And, there's like the Mary Jane parts and there's some Miles Morales parts and they kind of suck, like where you have to just sneak around. And it's kind of like, there's one with Mary Jane where it's like your Mary Jane's point of view, but you can have Spider-Man help you out.
I thought that was awesome.
And I was like, this is amazing. Why couldn't it be like this? Because over the course of the game, Mary Jane is just like, I'm going to be your partner. And it's like, I mean, like, listen, Mary Jane, you're cool and all, but like, he's got spider powers and you're just a girl. Like, you're just a person. You're not even just a girl. Like, you're just a human being. Like, you don't have any Spec Ops training or anything. But, like, if it was them working together, I feel like that would have been more fun. Like
that stealth part that made me laugh was like, man, that computer's a way better stealth player than I
am. But the story is amazing. And, like, the threat. Like, when they showed the raft at E3, right? And they were just like, oh, but we've been hired by somebody specific. And like then in the actual game, that person shows up to reveal who kind of like the big bad is.
That part is so fucking cool, though.
It was very good. And that character is a character. I do not want to spoil this at all. That character does not, in my opinion, get enough love in the Spider-Man universe anymore because it's just, I don't know
if that's true anymore.
Well, I
want to say why, but I can't because then it will say who it is.
Right. I guess I feel like, yeah, I can't say anything else. But what I will say is
that he's one of my favorites. That's all I will say.
Me too.
I adore him. Actually, you know what? He is my favorite of these certain things.
Yeah. So and then there's plenty of hooks for all kinds of other stuff to happen. I kind of wish. Again, I'm talking around it, but anybody who's played the game will know what I'm saying. I kind of wish that instead of New Game Plus, that they had done the work of there's a thing that happens towards the end of the game that I feel like could make a different kind of New Game Plus. That's all I'll leave out.
Oh, okay.
I feel like that would be a really great incentive to just be like, holy shit, I want to play the whole game over again right now.
Yeah, that would be pretty great.
In any case, look, if you like Spider-Man games, you like open world games, like superhero games, We don't get that many superhero games that are very good. This one is exceptional.
It's phenomenal.
I also think it's a very, very good example of, just remember my words, the next time some a-hole from Activision is like, people don't want to play single-player games anymore. It's like, yeah, okay, sure. I feel like every Spider-Man fan I know has only been asking for, like, the best Spider-Man game for the last, like, decade, and all you had to do was make a really good Spider-Man game, and people are just like, fucking take it. Take all my casual.
3 million copies in like less than a week.
Yep. So let that be a lesson. And if you got a PlayStation 4, hey, you know what? Beg, borrow, steal. Well, don't steal. Borrow Spider-Man from a friend. Or
it's so good. It's my favorite superhero game because overall, like even with all the things I said, as an overall package, I like it more than some of the than the Arkham games, to be honest.
I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying these things because I think it's a bad game. I just think that when I do a review of a game, I always want people to say, like, here are the things that are not good with it. Everything else is great, so check it out.
Real quick, I'm just going to say this because if you're going to like get this for a kid, this is the darkest Spider-Man story put outside of a comic.
I needed a hug.
I'm going to tell you that right now. So if you're going to get it for a kid, be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some adult themes going on.
Very adult shit that happens in this game.
Yep.
Like, holy fuck.
Yep.
So FYI, darkest Spider-Man game like ever.
Let's see. So, mail@ragesite.com is the email address. And our first question this week comes in from Vova, who says, Dear Jeff and Michael, hope you're doing good. I recently 100%ed Spider-Man, and while discussing the game, everyone seems to compare it to the Arkham games. I've been having thoughts that Spider-Man resembles more Bloodborne than the Arkham games, in my opinion, especially in its approach to combat and world building. Consider a few points. Spider-Man focuses on dodging and stunning enemies to attack later, not one-button countering, a la Batman. The game incentivizes you to even dodge at the last moment to stun enemies and use diverse gadgets. However, even the simplest heavy can still 2 to 3 shot you if you mistime the dodges. I mean,
He's not wrong,
but Spider-Man encourages you to be constantly moving around, be more aggressive and creative with high amount of enemies and projectiles the game throws at you. With the focus bar system, you have a lot to attack or dodge, to get more focus to either finish an enemy or get more health to survive. Spider-Man builds more lore and backstory through items, backpacks specifically, and interactions with random NPCs. The landmarks and secret landmarks are helping you explore the world and get a bit more lore too. Maybe grasping at straws here, but I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. Thanks for all the years of great fun. Stay healthy and awesome. Your friendly European Spider-Man and loyal Spider patron, Vova. And this is P.S. I so want a new Rage Select shirt, Jeff. Maybe a Teespring campaign or a thing here would be easier for you. I don't know. I am desperately trying to get my life back into a place where I can consider doing anything. Maybe soon.
You got a Dragon Ball poster you can put downstairs?
No, for merchandising, not for like my house.
I thought you wanted to have like a nice decor or something.
No, I hate decor. I got empty walls for a reason. They help me realize how empty my life is.
But I'm not hearing a no about that poster though.
So let's see. Okay, what do you think?
I think he's pretty on point for a lot of that. We literally just had a conversation outside of Mike about the world building through items more than some of the cutscene stuff.
Yes,
as indeed. Well as he's right about the dodging thing. The thing about the game is that even with all the upgrades, I still find myself dying against like normal enemies because sometimes I will just miss a dodge and I'll just get fucked up by gunfire. It's like it's more than just countering. It's a lot of dodging stuff.
See, okay, so as much as I would love to compare everything in the world to Bloodborne, the kind of I can see where you're going with this, but I almost feel like we live in an age, Michael, that has a sickness, an illness. I am a carrier. I apologize to all of you. You've all been infected through this podcast of people comparing everything to fucking Dark Souls, right? It's the Dark Souls of this. It's the Dark Souls of that. Like, I see where the comparisons are, but to me, one of the biggest things about Soulsborne games is the stamina management and the way that impacts because that's a defensive, like Spider-Man can never dodge too many times to where he can't dodge, right?
Yeah.
And that level, that meter is to me what makes Souls, because that means that everything, your attack, your defense, your dodging, your running, your jumping, everything eats that meter. And so you have to make a cost benefit analysis about, well, dodging would be more, I mean, not in Bloodborne, but like in Dark Souls, like dodging would be a better solution, but blocking would be a safer solution, and et cetera, et cetera. See, for me, I guess I feel like I don't want to compare, like Spider-Man seems to have elements of maybe Bloodborne in it, and maybe has elements of Arkham in it, but to me, it's just its own thing. Like, it doesn't, like when I first started playing it, I was like, oh, it's like Batman combat, but it's not like Batman combat. And the more that I played it, like the crowds is not something that you would see in Bloodborne, right?
Yeah.
Is getting mobbed by 100 people, right? Instead of taking your time with this kind of dueling aspect, which is what I more subscribe to with that. But it is worth noting that because everybody won't shut the fuck up about Dark Souls and Bloodborne, that I feel like some of that stuff does ooze in with, you know, optional background stuff. Like, I actually didn't realize that when you opened up the backpacks that he talked about the things in the backpacks until I collected like 8 of them and like put the controller down for a second to answer an email, and I was like, oh, holy shit, he has something to say about that?
Yeah.
Fuck, I have not been listening to any of these. And it does bear some resemblance to Souls about how you can kind of go through the game. You can just play through the game and enjoy it without going. I didn't realize, I was like, how do people do that thing where they go down the streets and like give people the finger guns? And I was like, oh, okay, because the game never tells you how to do that.
Tell you how to interact with people. Like, yeah, it never once goes, hey, you could just hang out with these dudes and they might ask you for a selfie or something.
Yep.
Like, it never once tells you that. You just find it out on accident.
Which I didn't, because I didn't ground. I'm a spider man.
Exactly.
I'm not ground man.
but I love the little, he does like finger guns. He's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
He like salutes people. And the other thing is sometimes people will walk up to you and be like, yeah, there's a crime going on over there.
Yeah.
And you click, okay, and then you can get a crime token from it. Like, shit like that. Like, it's the little things in that game that you're like, man, there's a lot of just, like, this world feels like these people live here sometimes until one of them glitches out and gets hit, like, kind of thing. Because that's the other thing that I'll mention that I forgot to mention. It's kind of buggy. Like, I don't even mean because he's a spider. I mean because there are literally seconds. Like, I remember walked up to people, and at one point, one of them just sort of, like, flew through the ground. Oh. And I was like, what the fuck? And then there was, like, a cop, and, like, his legs were, like, halfway through the ground.
Okay.
And then at one point...
I didn't spend much time on the ground.
That was the thing, is, like, that's what it is. If it's all ground stuff, so you never really notice unless you just hang out and walk around for a bit.
Okay.
So it's... and so you're like, oh, I guess I can get why these pass, like, QA tests, because... Yeah, half the time I'm never down here looking at these things.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, so I would say, Vova, that I feel like everybody's right. You know, I feel like it has some, that there have been some indirect storytelling, Soulsian DNA things that have oozed out into other games. I feel like the dodging, but see, the thing is that, like, I don't remember how Spider-Man on the PS2 played, but when I look at the control schema for Spider-Man on the PS4, I feel like it's an old school kind of open world, kind of messy, kind of like just like there doesn't feel like there's a core, right? Like the Spider-Man combat feels like it's it's just got like all these different interesting accoutrements hung off of it, right?
Well, this is something I never mentioned. I haven't mentioned this to anybody, to be honest, until recently. Is that this game is the culmination of damn near every Spider-Man game I've played. Yeah, up until this point, like all the stealth stuff, all that stuff happened in those Amazing Spider-Man games that Beanox made. Yeah, and especially Shattered Dimensions, all the noir stuff. Like that was the first time you had stealth things Spider-Man related. Yep. And so a lot of that stuff's just sort of like, even some of the motions they make for when they beat somebody are straight from some of those Beanox games. Like the battle stuff, some of that stuff, like you said, the Spider-Man 2 stuff, like I was thinking about it. Yeah, the way the combat worked was kind of similar, except it was a lot of just like randomly hitting things until you hope the guy went down.
Like I can see making this game and wanting to make the combat, right? You start, you're just like, okay, Spider-Man punches people, right? You had a combo, you need some webs. Like, it doesn't make sense for Spider-Man to block, right? It would look weird if Spider-Man was blocking people.
Well, like, he doesn't counter, though, is the thing. Like, he's not like the way Batman does, where he actually does a counter. Like, and even in the Beanox games, he would do a counter the same way Batman would do in the Arkham game. Right. And in this one, like, he's right. Like, it's just all dodging. Like, it's much more different. But that's what I think. It's the culmination of so many things that worked for Spider-Man that Insomniac must have looked at and went, let's do this, and that, and remove some of these other things.
I almost wonder if it's a thing where it's like there isn't a direct like Batman counter because it's like a make your own counter. Is that like once you dodge, there's so many different actions that you can perform that it's like you can kind of make up your own thing that you want to do based on like what situation you're in. It's just like they give you a really big toolbox of different things to use, right? Yeah. And so instead of being based around like something specific, it's kind of just very fluid.
Yeah, like like I found myself using the web bomb one a lot because I'd be like, well, I need to like calm down for a second, like because there's so many fucking guys. Just web bomb them real quick, and
I use the drone a lot for that too.
Yeah, the drone is pretty good about that.
The drone will just go out and zap a bunch of people for you.
I use the electric one a lot too, especially later on in the game because some guys can't get webbed, but the electric thing hurt them or would do the same thing almost.
At the end of the day, I mainly just use the spider blasters though because they refilled the fastest. And
I use so many of the things though.
Really web them up.
I actually use honestly when we were talking before, you were saying that you didn't use a lot of the suit's powers. I use like 80% of everything that game had.
Yeah, and
I had so much fun just doing different little things and testing out some of these things. Like the guitar thing, I thought was really strange, but I was like, this is kind of neat.
I think for me, it was just the base power that you get that refills the bar that you can then use to get life back with was like, if I have this, then if I ever get in trouble, I could just blam it and go, right? So it ended up being the most useful to me, so it ended up being the one that I would just come back to more and more often. I think I used the electric one a few times in some of those challenges where it's like, electrify 5 guys at once. And I'm like,
that helped a lot.
All right, drone, and now I'm going to turn electric, and then everybody's going to become an electricity. So, yeah, Boba, I don't think that you're off base, but I don't think... I feel like...
It's not 100%.
Well, I feel like a lot of times that we as human beings, we love to be like, it's the something of something, right? Like, it's the Dark Knight of children's movies. It's the Dark Souls of breakfast cereals. It's, it's the Thundercats of NES games. And I'm like,
a Dark Souls cereal now. I really do. Little Solaires.
Just little sun praising
Marshmallow
guys.
Solaires.
Little Oscar of Astor's, or little Ornsteins, little
exactly
oat Ornsteins.
Yeah. Chocolate, because I like chocolate.
All right, our next question comes in from Brandon. Brandon says, hello, Jeff and shimmering, splendid Michael. One of the Brandons here with another question. Lately, I've been feeling very aimless in my personal life. When I was in school, everything seemed to give me purpose. I had goals, I was motivated, and I charged forward into the infinite possibilities of an unknown future with glee. Now, in my post-academic life, I find myself lacking any concrete goals, missing hardcore motivation, and approaching an uncertain future with trepidation. It's like I'm experiencing some sort of fucked up quarter-life crisis. So my question is, did you ever experience anything like this? And if you did, how'd you pull yourself out of the muck? Thanks, and keep churning out such amazing content. Your Witcher sequential is my favorite that you've done so far. From Brandon. Thanks, Brandon. How do you feel about this question, Michael?
He's experienced the thing a lot of millennials feel, which is it's that moment where you're like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And the economy is kind of fucked. So even if you're like, oh, I found something that kind of works, you're still like, I can't buy a house. Kind of like it's one of those thought processes. Like it is like a weird quarter midlife crisis because at this point we're kind of forced to grow up a little faster than some people were.
Mm-hmm. Why'd you look at me when you said that?
No, I didn't look at you when I said that.
Look, I play video games for a living, but I make a good living doing it.
Yeah, as you say in your house. I'm sorry, no, I'm fucking with him, but no, it's a lot of people who are millennials have this thing. How to get out of it though? That's a tougher thing to answer because a lot of times it depends on the person. For me, a lot of times to get out of it, the way I got out of it originally was that at the time when I felt that the most, I was stuck living with my parents and Kyle. Mm-hmm. When he first met me, that's what I was doing.
I remember you had to drive forever.
Yeah, I used to drive hours. Like I used to hang out at the bars with you guys till 2 a.m. because there was no traffic at that point.
Right,
it took less time to get home.
Yeah,
but no, like when I finally got out, I had a job that I enjoyed quite a bit. In fact, that's how I am now. I have a job that I enjoy quite a bit. And a lot of shows and stuff helped me with that. Like, but it's one of the reasons I watch BoJack so much. Like BoJack has that sort of thing where it's like, yeah, it just helps me feel good about myself for some reason. I don't know how BoJack would do that, but it did. But
no. It's a shared pain, right? It helps to know it makes you less lonely when you meet other lonely people and you can all be like, oh, okay, well, I'm not, because I feel like I've spent a lot of my life getting into this whole just like, oh, well, I'm the only one, everybody else is fine, and I'm over here fucking it all up. And it's like, no, everybody's fucked up all the time.
Yeah, everybody's fucked up. And that's I guess that's one of those things that you realize after a while. You're like, no one knows what they're doing. That's just what it is. Like if that was true, then, shows would not be like these shows wouldn't exist. Kind of thing. Like it would all be like 90s Friends sitcoms.
When you do the calculus, when you look at when I look at Bojack Horseman's life, it's like, God damn, I'd fucking kill just have a big old paid off Hollywood house and money to just drink and watch TV and do whatever the fuck I wanted to. And every so often somebody will have sex with you because you were on TV in the 80s, right? I mean, shut up, Bojack.
He's a big star in the 90s, and he just sleeps with people, and then. Although I always laugh at the beginning where he's always for some reason watching Horsing Around while having sex with people.
Oh yeah,
he's like that orgasm. He's like, oh, that's great comedy.
Yeah, you know what? Same. In a lot of ways, I think that so I actually started going to animation school when I was in my early 30s, and it was after. Probably about 5 years of exactly what Brandon is describing, where I was working and I was making a fair amount of money and I had a house and I was bored and I hated my fucking job. And that was it. I was just bored and shitty. And I drank dude. But people that know me now are just like, dude, and I'm like, you don't know. I used to drink. I used to drink 18 beers every Friday type of thing. And I used to go downtown to drink 18 beers and then drive back to North Austin.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was terrible. I didn't wreck my car, but I did fuck my car up. There's a reason why there is a 6-pack waiting in my refrigerator so that when you and I get done with this podcast, I can just sit on my couch. I can watch season 2 of American Vandal. I can drink some low alcohol content beers. Maybe if we get done in time, go to the store and buy some chicken breast to sous vide. But I had to stop that because I was like, this is the shit where you end up in fucking doing some bad shit to people. Anyway, but it was around that time where I was real aimless and listless, where I was like, you know what? I'm not old and I'm not doing anything, right? I got a job. Yeah, I got a place. And all that's very important. But I do have the support structures in my life to be able to try to do something else. And that was when I realized that not everybody has this. And I apologize because I hate this part of the story. So I called originally what I was going to do was I had a bunch of friends that worked at bars, and I was like, I want to be a bar back, right, or a bartender, and then I'll go to school during the day and I'll work at the bar at night. I told my father this plan, and he was like, okay, listen, I'm going to tell you right now that if you start working at a bar, you will not go to school. You will be, and this is have you ever seen the movie Waiting?
Yeah.
It's like that. It literally is like that. And my dad knew me well enough to be like, you will fucking go hang out with service industry people until 6 o'clock in the morning getting fucking hammered. And then you'll go and then you'll sleep all day and then get up and go to your shift at the bar. So he basically agreed to front me where I worked part-time and went to school part-time. And then he paid the other part of my rent that I wasn't, because I was only working part-time, right? I was working 20 hours instead of 40 hours. He basically agreed to give me the money for the other 20 hours so that I could go to school. But I think that a specific, if you don't have a specific goal, then make a specific goal. And a lot of times it can be difficult. It can be extremely difficult. And the reason that I think it's extremely difficult is because a lot of people just don't know what they want.
No, it's completely true.
If you had a magic, lamp, if you had Bojack money, right, and you could do whatever you wanted to, what would you do? Would you paint? Would you learn how to play the guitar? Would you learn how to build a house or learn how to bake bread or learn how to, do whatever, right? Sing, write, anything creative. Would you do that? And if you have an unlimited number of choices, what would you do? And I feel like most people don't have an answer to that because it's a little bit, it's a bit of a
well, most people just
brain
like,
lock.
I'll buy something, but they never say what they would do after buying something.
Right.
That's the thing, is that it's always like, I'll buy, a car and a house. It's like, cool. What are you going to do with your life after that? You're like, I'm going to buy another thing. No, what are you going to do besides buying shit? It can't just be buying shit. That's not a life. Mm-hmm. You're not a Kardashian. Stop it.
Which, well, hey, for some people that is a goal, right? Some people that thing brings them joy. personally, I'm I got 3 cookbooks in the mail today. One of them is a sous vide cookbook, and 2 of them are keto cookbooks. So I'm thinking about doing a keto diet. One of them specifically is a keto instant pot cookbook.
Oh, that's interesting.
But I've been really excited about cooking. Right? It's like when I don't know how to cook everything, so I got a few things down. But there's a whole sous vide brisket that I would like to try out at some point. There's some Thanksgiving things that I'd like to try, wrapping some prosciutto around a turkey breast. But really, it's just about, I feel like there's some really basic things that you can always default to, right? Cooking, dancing, writing, running. There's some kind of basic stuff that has universal value to me, to a human being, right? As if you're just like, I'm gonna run a marathon. I'm gonna get in shape and I'm gonna run a marathon. And so first I'm gonna start out. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna get the shoes. I'm gonna do the thing. It helps to have goals that you can meet. In fact, one of the things that they tell depressed people when you're depressed is clean your room, right?
Yeah,
because that's a thing where you can get it done in an hour. Or maybe it depends on your room, right? But
and then you feel good about it at the end because everything looks really nice,
and you did a thing, right?
And you did something.
You set out to do a thing, and you succeeded. Write a poem, or draw a picture, or do whatever. So
sometimes it's as easy as I need to get an oil change, and then when you do it, you're like, oh, well, that was productive, and it felt good, and I got to sit down and watch terrible Fox News for a bit in this waiting room.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel about video games. I love the small victories of video games. I beat Spider-Man. I was like, yay, I beat Spider-Man. Now I can move on to one of the other 800 games that I
gotta beat Monster Hunter again.
Yeah.
Thing. It's the little things that get you. My dog is a good example. I'm just I take him out. That's my goal for the day, and kind of things, make sure he doesn't pee inside. That's my goal every day. Make sure he doesn't pee inside.
Yeah,
pretty much it. Or make sure he doesn't poop or something inside.
So yeah, I would say, Brandon, if I could set a goal, set any goal. For me going back to school, I went to art school because when I was a kid I drew and I liked drawing, and I thought I'd like to know more about that. So I went and I took a year worth of just straight classes. It's maybe I'll be a painter, maybe I'll be an illustrator, maybe I'll make comics. And I took an animation class, and I was like, that's the one right there. And then kind of dug in with that. Let's see. I got time for another question or two. Let's see. I think this is an interesting question for you, Michael.
Sure.
This one says, Dear Dong Ram Long John King Kong Lords. So looking at a few Let's Plays for the upcoming Super Seducer 2, it's pretty clear this game is still bad, if not worse than its original predecessor, by doubling down on its writing and budget. It's unsurprisingly gotten successful via Twitch and YouTube gamer channels because of how over-the-top the game goes in certain situations it plays out. Though I'm pretty sure it's universally panned as a bad game, I still think it's good that it's being put out, mainly because you have Let's Play people giving the viewer actual informative dating advice and also showing what happens when a game goes one step forward and 2 steps back. This leads me to my question. What are some games that you consider total trash but should still be sold to the public? Sorry for the long rambling, and thanks for the reading, and that's from M. Magneto, the House of M. Games that are total trash but should still be sold to the public. Killer 7.
God damn it! I knew you were going to say that. Recently, a lot of times it's Let's Players that are the reason some of these games do well.
Yep.
As well as stay around. Like I told you about Alekhine's gun or Alekhine's gun or whatever.
Oh yeah,
It's one of the funniest goddamn things I've seen as a Let's Play done by Funhouse, and the same with a lot of other stuff that you guys have played. There's some of the worst fucking games make some of the most interesting Let's Plays.
Last week, Matt Frank and I played Surgeon Simulator CPR co-op play ready, and I controlled the left hand and Matt controlled the right hand, and it was glorious. It was amazing. And Surgeon Simulator is a game that has bad controls. It does not control very well. It controls poorly on purpose to make it funny at how stupid you look when you're doing the thing. Hell, on the topic of Super Seducer, Matt and I played that Senran Kagura game. All the Senran Kagura games are just, these fucking tit ninjas and they got their clothes all breaking off.
They're not bad beat 'em up games.
They're not, but they're not exactly like good.
No, they're not either. Goat Simulator is another good example of a game that's just like, what the fuck? But it deserves to exist.
Yep.
Recently, I saw a game called, I think it's called My Summer Car. That's another one that's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, John and I started playing that, but we got too focused on trying to actually fix the car, and so we didn't understand.
It takes a long time too.
What the actual point of the game was, but
you got to build your car.
I mean, like the main point here is that I don't feel that any game. I feel like all games should have a chance to come out.
I think 99% of games should have a chance to come out.
Like
the other 1% are usually the ones that are just like made for controversy's sake, like the school shooting one.
Oh yeah,
that's one of those ones just like, yeah, that one doesn't need to come out. But the ones where it's like that game where it's one guy plays the dad and one plays the baby.
Who's your
the
daddy?
Baby has to kill himself as fast as he can.
Yep.
I think that's great. Like I love shit like that.
I mean, I even say like Hatred, right? Like is not. I think it's a stupid game. It's just bad as a game. But like, I still think that even a game like Hatred can come out and then teach us all something about like, hey, look, here's an example of what I really don't ever fucking want to play in my life. The game Hatred.
I think what sets it apart though is the fact that somebody made that game with intentions of wanting to make a good game. It's the same thing with movies, like everything that Mr. Science Theater makes fun of. It's like every single one of these movies, this guy legitimately thought he was making a really good movie.
I'll tell you what I don't think has a right to exist. Asset flips. The stuff where people buy. Like people, okay, I don't know. You don't know. You just cocked your head. Do not know what an asset flip is?
I guess. Oh no, I heard something else. I heard acid flip. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
No. Where they
throwing acid at things? Is that what they're flipping acid?
They take a Unity template and then just buy a bunch of shit and dump it in there. And
no, those make more sense. That makes more sense.
But even that, it's like, well, we just need to ignore those things.
And even then, some of those games end up making some weird shit.
Yeah. What the hell?
Like, Let's Player is the whole reason most of these games exist, to be honest. Like there's some games that are just like, I can get why this exists, but I'm probably never going to play it.
Right.
Like the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I'm like, these aren't exactly good.
Holy
honestly. Shit. But shit. What happened?
Oh, I think this is made by the same company that made Rusty Lake Paradise. Sorry, I was just looking at Steam.
Yeah, it's like, what just happened?
Rusty Lake Paradise was a wackadoo game that Amanda and I played where you had to it's like an adventure game where you have to do all this really disturbing shit. And this same company just put out a new game. So.
Oh, nice. But that's another good example. Like just games that are just like, yeah, you're just doing a bunch of crazy shit.
Yep.
And yeah, these games exist, and I'm glad for it.
Yep. Logan writes in and says, "Dear Jeff and Michael, I know you guys aren't comic book experts. Well, one of us is, but I'd like to hear your opinion on something. What do you think would happen if you put Magneto's helmet on a telepath? Would it stop their powers, or does it only block thoughts coming in? Also, what are the chances of seeing the return of Loco Steve in a future sequential? Your devoted patron, loyal Logan. Logan, I could say, unless they make a new Batman game, probably not, because
you can play some older Batman games that aren't great.
Jason already is on board. We've already come full circle in 2018 to Jason is on board for a full sequential of Red Dead Redemption 2. So probably not Loco Steve. I'm probably not going to be able to convince Jason to just continue playing new Red Dead game, new Batman game, new Bulletstorm maybe by that time.
Hopefully. God damn, hopefully.
I don't really know what happens if you put Magneto's helmet on a telepath's head. Can he get out through it?
The whole point of Magneto's helmet is that it's designed to just keep people from reading his mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually do anything from the other way, as far as I know. But that's the thing, is no one else has ever worn the helmet.
Uh-huh.
So you can't really, or no one else that would, have mind powers has ever bothered doing it.
But
it's not really something like that, yeah.
If Superman had a lead-filled helmet on, his I-beams couldn't get out of it. It's lead,
That's not how the lead thing works. You're thinking of kryptonite.
I mean, X-ray vision. He can't see through X-ray vision.
Yeah, he can't X-ray vision. But yeah, that's... I don't know. That's the thing about Magneto's helmet is that it's kind of just a weird fucking wackadoo object.
Yeah.
That he's just like, I made this so my friend wouldn't like listen to my thoughts. Like that's literally the entire point of his fucking helmet.
Right.
And although I think my favorite question I've ever heard about the helmet is actually not even a comic book question. It's who would win in a fight? Professor Xavier or a drunk guy with a baseball bat wearing Magneto's helmet? I love stupid shit like that. But sorry, yeah, as when it comes to Magneto's helmet, I don't know what would necessarily happen if Telepath wore it.
Well,
because it's not really. I've never really heard of it being designed for the opposite.
Why? So here's my question: is like if the helmet itself is blocking telepathy, right? He still has his eyes and his nose and his mouth are uncovered. So can't the telepathy, like if you telepathized right at his eyeballs, that you could go right through the helmet and into his brain holes, but if he turns his head, they goes, turn back.
That's kind of the thing when you look at Lex Luthor's suits of armors, though, and you're like, your whole head is always like right there.
Right.
It should just poke you, kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's comics. That's all. That's the answer. The answer is whatever the writer decides at that exact moment is what it's going to do.
Yeah, apparently Spider-Man was Ghost Rider at one point, so like...
I can tell you that whole thing, by the way. If you ever want to know, I will tell you.
Nope. All right.
Long story short, it's an alternate reality.
Let's do one last question. This one comes in from Aaron. Aaron says, Dear Rage Knots, recently I finally started playing Bloodborne, and I love it. Good job. And I have to thank you guys for helping me into the whole Souls series. One of my favorite things about the games is the deep lore. I love how even the smallest characters have huge backstories. So my question is, which side character from a game would you like to see get their own spin-off game? I'd love to see Eileen the Crow get a game exploring how she came to Yharnam and became a hunter. Thanks and love the show. And that's from Aaron.
I, too, would love that.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Also a Solaire game.
I always wanted an Oscar of Astoria game. I've always been more of an Oscar of Astoria guy than Solaire guy. Man, turns out I was just making an Oscar of Astoria build in Dark Souls Remastered on the PC the other day, and because somebody still has my copy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And I decided to just go get the Astoria Straight Sword and put the Faith up to 14 to be able to use it, and then like juiced it up to like +3, and goddamn, that thing just wrecks shop. Let's see. Characters that you would like to know more about.
Bonnie from Red Dead Redemption. Like, I would like to see how the rest of her life turned out.
Uh-huh.
Like, I thought she was a great character, like, great little side character that I really would have... the Marshal, too. The Marshal was another character. Like, I know he survived, basically, like, because you find out he retired, but I would have loved to see what else he was up to during that time for him.
I was asking specifically about Souls characters.
No, but I mean, he asked about side characters in general. But,
I'm going to stick to Souls.
But Souls-wise, Bloodborne-wise, I would like to know a little more about some of the bad guys, because a lot of times the thing about the hunters, or a lot of the bad guys, they're just people that were good at one point that just lost their fucking shit. And it's one of those things I'd like to see more of their origins, other than like, you know, side little items kind of thing. Especially that guy who's taking care of, with the minigun and the Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know a little more about his little backstory, because he has a lot of dark shit going on. Like, he has a whole thing where he's like, yeah, I'm protecting these people because they used to be people, and that would have been interesting to find out a little more about. Sure, I kicked him off of that thing because he was shooting at me with a Gatling gun, because fuck that guy. But I would like to know more about him.
Jura is his name, I think.
Yeah, everyone usually ends up killing that dude.
Well, the only way to get around it is you have to
enter through the other way.
Yeah, you got to go in backwards. Yeah, motherfucker's got a point. I mean, he's got a point about. I mean, like, actually, I feel like we already know his story, right? Is it?
Yeah, but I'd like to see some of like him start as a hunter and everything and get to that point.
Yeah,
but yeah, because the same thing he was saying about that other side character.
He was the Eileen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the powder kegs. Powder kegs raised old Yharnam when the sickness was there, and then they realized that they were just people, and then they came back. And, yeah.
Yeah, most people end up killing him because everyone usually stumbles upon that area and then just immediately gets shot at, and you're like, well, fuck that guy, and then you murder the shit out of him.
Yeah. Let's see. In Bloodborne specifically, I think we know a lot about a lot of people. There's the guy that is Gascoigne's friend that you rescue Eileen from, who's fighting him back.
Oh, fuck that guy. I remember last time we talked about it, I was stuck on that guy. I finally ended up killing him, I think a month after we talked about it.
Yeah.
That dude. I would like to know more about that guy, but at the same time, fuck that guy, because it took me a long time to kill him.
Yeah.
But goddamn, when I did, it felt so good.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'd like to know more about. Even though we know a lot about him, I think I'd like to know more about what's his name, the cage on his head.
I don't remember his name. That's the thing. That's one of the problems I have with some of these games is I'm bad with remembering all their names.
I feel like if we weren't podcasting, I could dredge all this shit up just right out of my brain. Let's see.
Have a better time to try to figure that out.
Mikolash, host of the Nightmare. That's who it is.
Oh yeah.
He's really a kind of an interesting fellow. As far as Dark Souls goes, though, I want a Executioner Smo spinoff game, because here are some facts that you may not know about Executioner Smo. His armor is made for a regular sized person. He is not fat. His armor is fat, but he is not fat. Also, he is a cannibal, and he eats people. And he's the real executioner for Gwyn back in the olden days. I want to know what the fuck is up with this guy. Also,
I kind of do now too, actually.
There is another thing. The giant in the God, what the hell? I can't remember any Souls people's names anymore. What's happening to me?
Which is crazy.
The one in Artorias of the Abyss, who is one of the four knights of Gwyn.
That Spider-Man knowledge jammed in your head now.
I know. It's just I don't know anything else.
That's how I think at all times.
God, what the hell is the guy's name? Giant Lord, Blacksmith Giant. Hawkeye Gao, that's his name. I didn't even look it up. You could say I was still typing stuff in. Hawkeye Gao is this. He's this big giant in the woods, and so Gwyn had four knights: Artorias, Dragonslayer Ornstein. God, that chick can never fucking remember her name, and Hawkeye Gao, the giant. I think there was that it. Was there one more? No, I just don't remember the lady's name. See, Lord's Blade Kieran. Lord's Blade Kieran. There you go. All right, so I'll come back to me now. So they were like his four knights, right? And Hawkeye Gao, he's like retired after the whole thing. He's just sitting up on top of this big tower, and he's just making these. He's whittling these little, like nuts. But in the game, it's like you buy them and you can throw them on the ground, and they have his voice in them. So like, if you put it in your item slot and you throw it, you'll just hear this voice go, hello. And you can just do it over and over again. You go, hello. You can say like yes and no and things like that. But over the course of the game, it turns out that he's like a master archer. He's got this giant bow, and he shoots down the dragon for you to fight, because he can't fight the dragon because the dragon's all over your shit. It turns out that he thinks he's gone blind, but actually one of the other knights like filled his helmet up with wax, and he just like never takes it off.
Oh.
So it turns out he's fine, but he's got all this sap, like tree sap in his helmet that he can't see through, and he literally thinks he's gone blind. He's living his life just carving stuff and shooting at dragons and doing stuff.
What the fuck?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
This
really?
is one of those things. This is one of those Dark Souls things. So
oh geez.
Yeah. Maybe the Emerald Herald from Dark Souls 2, who's like a half dragon, half person experiment.
Like Batman's contingency plan for Green Lantern.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're done. I think my dog really has to go outside too. He's been up all on my business the whole time.
Oh, okay.
So, Michael, tell the people where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me on oneofus.net. Just, every now and then I would do a review on there. Yeah.
Okay. And you can find me pretty much every place on Rage Select that there is a place to go. So check back tomorrow. We got another brand new video. We got podcasts every Sunday. Get your questions into mail@rageselect.com. And we'll see you later.